32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Space Boy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Space Boy Universe, featuring Space Boy and the lovely Solana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations, I'm Space Boy.
I'm Solana.
And this is Space Boy Universe. And without any technical difficulties, hopefully from here on out, it is November 11, 2017, and tonight's show is number 2.06, and we'll be doing Topic Roulette. Yes, that's where anything goes from history, French science, gaming, music, pop culture, technology. Your guess is our guess because it's going to be for an interesting evening. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. That's at the SBU Universe. Follow Solana at Solana. Follow me at Spaceboy Music. And, of course, follow the network that brings you all this fine program. That's at the SBU Network. You're staring at me like I'm crazy, Solana.
What? Well, that's normal.
Okay, good.
It's not anything special.
Hey, we have people that follow this show called Space Cadets. You can follow those Space Cadets by going to the spaceboyuniverse.com site or the SBUN site and check out the player. In that player, you'll see a dancing chat bubble. In the dancing chat bubble, once you click it, it'll get you in with all the cool kids. Hang out with the Space Cadets because they like to interact with us. Because usually this is a live show, but you can always follow up for those who listen later to the show in our chat room and even reply in the chat room. So become a Space Cadet by doing that. But there's more than just doing that to become a Space Cadet, Solana. You know that?
Sure, I know all that.
Just making sure you're alive over there. And that is YouTube. And, you can go to YouTube, and that's where a lot of the stuff is more than just archived there. You get stuff that we've done interviews with, like recently Maker Faire. Hopefully we'll get back on the bandwagon and start doing some more 2-bit gamers. And then, of course, Spaceboy Music. There's a lot of that on there, too, as well. I mean, there's a whole smorgasbord of just different things you can check out there on the YouTube channel. So subscribe. Become a good faith Space Cadet by subscribing to YouTube. Because, hey, it's cool. It's where it's happening. It's where all the cool kids go. So, anyway, also, can't catch a show live? That's no problem. Well, you can always catch SBU on the go via SoundCloud, iTunes, of course, YouTube. So many different places to choose from. I mean, you can't shake a stick at it fast enough to find them. Just do a search for Spaceboy Universe on any of these wonderful social media sites. Speaking of social media sites, it's always important to follow us. We're also on Facebook. Of course, I said we're on YouTube. Follow us there. So just so many different places to check us out. And then plus, we're all over the dang interwebs, aren't we, Solana?
Yes, we are.
Man, we are here, there, and everywhere. And it's always important to check those out. So, even we're on the PAUK Radio Network. Which we're proud to be a part of that. And, we give a shout out, woohoo, to our friends out there in the PAUK radio network. We love them all. Irene, we love you, dear. We love the Bulldog, and we're not talking about Mark. So, he'll laugh about that one. So, without any further ado, let me introduce you to the lovely co-host of this program, the one that I can't be without, and I was out without yesterday for her long trip, and that is the lovely Solana. Say hello, Solana.
He is contractually obligated to say certain phrases, just in case you're wondering, because if you ever meet me, you'll know some things aren't true. But we'll just gloss right over that.
Whatever.
So if I sound kind of blah, I apologize. I'm tired. But I'll get over it. It's getting better. So I had a long trip yesterday, and I won't get into that either. So,
well, you had to go to Dallas, but we won't go into that. But just from here to Dallas and back in
1 day.
In 1 day is very taxing. It's roughly about a 3-hour trip there and a 3-hour trip back, and then your time there. And but I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah. I didn't think you'd even notice I was gone, but
well, I mean, I'm not going to deny that there was just a little bit of being a freedom to just do something I wouldn't normally do, because I know you don't believe it, but I feel like if you need something, I'm here. When we're both together, it's like, okay, I'm hungry, so okay, let's go eat. Okay, I'm tired. Okay, let's go take a nap. I'm there for you in that sense, or better yet, I don't want to get up tomorrow morning, so leave me alone. Okay, I will leave the house and go do something.
Well, good, because you're a grown man and you should be able to do that.
No, but it's not the point. I guess maybe you're trying to beat me into the point where, like for example, you have this modern woman of like certain women should not be, I guess, like taking last names.
What?
And I'm just using it as an example, not to just beat the.
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that you don't prefer to have a man be there to take care of you or anything. And I'm like, I come from a background where.
Are we in a therapy session?
I guess
what is this?
I just wanted to just say, because you brought up the fact, well. You're a grown man and you can take care of yourself. And
well, you can if I don't get up and you're hungry. Go get food.
Well,
it's fine.
I hope the cat doesn't go missing or.
No, I just I don't get it.
Well, no, I just wanted to point out that I'm there for you.
I know that.
Yeah, okay.
When it's convenient for me.
There's that cat mentality that you have.
But yeah. So let's talk real talk for a minute here.
Uh-oh, what did I do now?
Well, I don't know if you've been through this, and if you have, I apologize. Hopefully I didn't do this to you, but you know what it's like to have your heart broken?
Yes, many times.
And like you had something and it meant a lot to you. And then you have this emptiness inside, and you can never fix it, can never be replaced. It's gone. It's over. And you've really lost something important, and you can never get it back again.
Okay, it's important to say this before you're about to say what I think you're about to say, is that there's a difference between getting your heart broken by a human.
Well, it's the same exact feeling when your hard drive dies. It's the exact same feeling, because your whole freaking life was on that stupid hard drive, and it was the backup for the backup. And I don't get it. I'm so sick of technology failing on me when you haven't done the slightest thing to it.
Well, in all fairness, in the past 6 months, we've really upgraded in our technology.
I don't. Why did that thing have to fail?
And even recently,
we're going to end up losing stuff.
We got a new Buffalo Terra scan, Terra station. My bad. Station. And it's a RAID, so it makes it that much safer. So if a hard drive goes out, it's not the end of the world. It's networked, so we can access data from the web when we're not here. I mean, it's surprisingly compact,
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And so I'm happy we finally got it. I mean, I really, sometimes I don't feel like spending the money, but it was worth it.
You know that feeling, don't you?
Oh, I do know that feeling very well, because I can go back in time when, back when I had the album Departure.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time, in the sense that, sometimes I like to go back to some of my old music. I get new stuff, Reason upgrades, and then I get these new plugins, and I get these new rack modules, and then, I like to revisit music and think, oh, okay, I could improve this, or I can make this sound better, or I've learned this, and let me see what else I can do with it now. Well, unfortunately, when I was formatting a computer, I formatted the wrong drive, and it wiped out all that external stuff, and I lost lots of crucial data, and I was devastated. I felt, I know how you're feeling.
I personally feel very strongly about excuse me, not putting my personal files on some third-party cloud. Not that I've got anything. It's my stuff. I don't want somebody else
looking at it. Even though they say they're not going to, but it's there.
It's my stuff. It's like keeping your clothes at someone else's house in their closet, in a closet in the back room. They're not going to look at it, but it's not under your control.
It's kind of like when you take the computer in to get it repaired. Those technicians are looking at, hey, do you got some good music I can take off your computer? Or, oh, look at this. Miss Jones looks pretty hot looking in this dress here.
Well, I've never had stuff like that on computers that I've sent to.
I'm just saying, that's why, well,
I'm
thankfully.
Not stupid.
Well, no, okay, in all full disclosure, both of us, are IT technicians on a certain level.
Well, I used to do tech support before I did this
web designing
copy paste thing I'm doing at work,
and I'm still doing IT work as my main career, and it'd be nice to quit that one day and pull this
copy paster.
But at the end of the day, is we take care of a lot of our own technical stuff.
Yeah.
And that's important.
And if you don't know how to do it, I'm like, wow, we're really screwed.
If I'm really scratching my brain on that one, it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. Let's wipe and type again. But anyway, at the end of the day, like I said, within the past 6 months, for the studio, we upgraded computers. We have we upgraded the studio. It's really cool spacing. And, I think at the end of the day, it's cool.
At the end of the day, I have one drive that I've had for many years, and it has never failed, and it's a 500 gigabyte Seagate. Whereas the Western Digitals and the Buffalo Technologies have just died one after another.
Well, this is a Buffalo we're dealing with right here.
I know, so that's why I'm like, oh no, man.
I mean, and it's like I told you that this isn't the, I plan on buying another backup for the backup.
Now, is this a RAID array?
A RAID,
or is it just
it's
one?
It's RAID.
Isn't it supposed to be a mirror image failsafe?
Yes. So we're going to be fine if one of the drives go out. We pop it out, pop in a new one.
I'm going to punch a wall next time, I tell you.
Save it for a throat punch Thursday. I understand your frustration for losing all that data, because I know you lost the one external drive that you would take with you, and you had to upgrade it. We upgraded you to a cool little red one. And then of course the drive we were using that had lots of stuff on it. We
had a network drive, meaning it was just networked internally in our home, and we would use it to put stuff and share files and look at things back and forth, and it just storage and
made it easy to to exchange. Or in other words, when you would work on a project for Space Boy Universe, like pictures or something Photoshop wise, or if you were starting to really work with these video things. You would upload it to that drive, and then I could go back and look at it, or
it's good for collaboration,
right?
And, stuff like that.
And then our folder structure basically had, the different shows that we do for the SBU network, and we had unique stuff that was in those folders, and then plus the music. We have tons of music that not related to Space Boy music at all, but just tons of music that
I had
downloaded over the years.
Acquired.
Over
the years,
mashups and all that good stuff.
I was reminiscing with you earlier today about 1999.
What, Prince?
Well, the year 1999.
I know.
I didn't party like it was 1999 at any point in my life, because
did you use now I can't think of the name, Napster?
This is before Napster. I remember when Napster came out. I want to say Napster was in the fall of '99, and I just had gotten DSL. It was the only thing available in back where I was from, and my brother sent me the EXE for Napster, and this is before anybody knew what it was or it was illegal, and I stayed up till like 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Just nonstop. Because, DSL and, so. But before that, I was doing it on a 56K modem before we moved into that house. And I remember saying, what is an MP3? And then I found these strange, obscure sites to go to, like Audio Galaxy. And there was another one that was like an app that ran in your task manager, over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it would constantly look for stuff for you. And this is before Napster, way before Morpheus, LimeWire, BearShare.
Wait, see those? You named
way before.
You named
When
3
MX.
of the top ones I've used. BearShare, LimeWire, and what was that other one you just said?
Morpheus. WinMX. And now those weren't just music. It was programs and videos and like TV episodes and that. I don't know how we went from that to BitTorrent. That might be an interesting thing to look up. Which I think BitTorrent's still a thing, but I never did it.
Would it surprise you to know I know how to use BitTorrent, but I've never used it?
No, because you're a smart guy.
Well, I think
and you're in IT.
What it is, I got to the point with, enjoying the free life, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then it just got to a point where, okay, I got a decent job. I don't mind paying for this.
I did what I did because I didn't have any money, and I was just doing temp work, and I couldn't afford anything. I was still living with my dad.
Well, plus, let's get the facts here on this one, too, because back in the 90s...
But I pay for stuff now.
There wasn't a time where you could preview the music.
No.
I mean,
No.
you had to literally go
Unless
off
you had
of what,
like a CD warehouse where you could walk up to their like bar. And
even at that wasn't until like...
that didn't last very long either.
Yeah, it wasn't very... It was short-lived.
You'd have to hear it on the radio.
It wasn't until, we get to the new millennium where you could actually hear songs off of an album and say, okay, that sucks. I don't want to pay for the whole thing.
Yeah.
A la carte.
They came out with cassette singles.
Well, that's going back still, but,
I still have I had a few.
They did do CD singles. They were smaller versions of the actual CD. But
what a waste.
The thing is that I'm trying to make a point here is that, compared now to then, people were forced to buy a whole CD to actually hear
crappy music.
Well,
that's a
Nowadays, it's like, okay, you only buy what you want. Unless the artist has strapped down the whole CD, you have to buy the whole CD.
Now I don't buy anything.
Yeah, thanks to things like Spotify.
I'm going to get into that a little later too.
Okay, well,
I want to
cool.
get your opinion on
Sure,
something.
I got lots of opinions.
Yeah, you're a musician.
Yeah, so Spotify is great because today,
not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but hey, Spotify, if you want to sponsor us, we're eager and we're waiting. But anyway, the thing is that I was at a Mexican restaurant today with you.
Oh, God.
And there was a song playing. Of course, I used another app to find the song, but I immediately went from that app to Spotify.
It was like Spanish electronica music. It was strange.
But it was strange. And, at some point, maybe I'll share that name of that band here, maybe in the next hour, and I can find it. But the thing is that I went straight to Spotify, and, can you imagine trying to find that? Okay, I got to go to the store and...
Especially when you don't speak Spanish or, there's no way you could figure out what the name of it was.
Right, exactly. And so that's the wonderful thing about technology, and especially with, having the app, Spotify app, that to be able to access that.
Well, you were using a different app to listen to the song, to find it, then you went to Spotify.
Which that's awesome, to be able to just whip that app out and
just have it listen to the
and then
stuff playing.
Tell you, it shows you a video and tells you the name of the song, and you can play it, and it's really very cool. So
people in chat are very quiet tonight.
They're quiet.
Yeah.
Come on, Space Cadets, liven up. It is SBU night. Let's see here.
Maybe they're tired too.
Well, let's see here.
did get to stop at a Buc-ee's, or the Buc-ee's.
Oh yeah, so
I-45.
You took some pictures. I saw you took a picture like overlooking the beaver nuts and stuff like that.
Yeah, just I didn't go to the other side where all the gift stuff is, where it was just nothing but beaver paraphernalia.
Quick howdies out to Yeg, K28, and Bob. How are y'all doing tonight? I hope y'all are doing quite lovely. I know some of y'all's tootsies are cold.
It's real sausage,
especially as you go to the Great White North. But Kay, I know you're nice and pleasant out there wherever you're at, so you don't need to tell me.
Yes, this Buc-ee's that we stopped at, that was the first Buc-ee's I'd ever been in.
Was that the Buc-ee's with the big bear out in the front?
Well, that was the one that had it. They don't have any more of it.
Yeah, probably because at that point the bear probably looked diseased, like it was losing its hair or something.
But it's big, and it had, it's got pumps out in the front, but then it has like 20 gas pumps off to the side of it, and it's big. It's just really big.
I love the fact that this particular thing doesn't die from our conversation as Buc-ee's, thanks to K28. But
yeah, and I'm sure people who don't live in Texas or outside the country, like, why do you keep obsessing about a giant convenience store?
It's not a truck stop
in the middle of nowhere.
It's for consumers. It's Joe and Pop and Mom and Little Sue, and
it's for just regular commuters, people in cars and trucks,
getting
not
from
big
A
rigs.
to B. Yeah, big rigs. They got their own little gas station. They can gas up and whatever. But at the end of the day, these gas stations are usually way stations between like here in San Antonio or here in Houston.
We stopped there on the way, and it was just brief. Visited the world famous restrooms. Went.
Well, first off, we have a new audience out there. The great European countries of the world, even Asia. Can you explain what that means?
Well, typically in this country, when you're in a public restroom to use the facilities, and I don't know if this is the way it is outside of like Canada and whatever. The women's restroom, at least. You have a stall, and it's not floor to ceiling. It only covers certain. You still see the feet underneath, and there's these huge cracks in the gaps. There's these gaps where the hinges are, and between where the door comes to, and you lock it.
That reminds me of a story when I was at the mall, but I won't go into it right this second.
No, we'll save that. But you know what I've been seeing lately?
What?
In women's restrooms is they'll take toilet paper. They'll pull a toilet paper off the roll, and they'll make these long strips of toilet paper, and they'll cover, wad it up and try to cover up the gaps to get more privacy. But Buc-ee's is different. You go in there, and now it's not floor to ceiling, but it's an actual door on a hinge. It's not a stall door. There are no gaps. There's like maybe a 5-inch, from the top, and then you can see a little bit of your feet, but it's a door lock, and when you turn the lock, it says occupied, and when you come out, it says vacant, like the old school. And you have your own hand sanitizer in there. There's a hook. You can actually hang up coats and purses. Those are always broken,
They take they get a tongue tie. Meticulous care and
clean.
It's very clean.
There's I asked Lena, I said, how many stalls did you estimate is in the women's restroom of this particular Buc-ee's? She said 40.
Really?
Because it goes all the way around the room. And it's big.
I'm adjusting. I'm not thinking men's room because it's a little slightly different because you have urinals, but then you have there's a balance between the
it's
urinal.
a one-stop shop for women in there.
Yeah. So, but anyway, as far as there's like 75% stalls, and then the rest are urinals. So, but anyway, at the end of the day, it's immaculate. It's clean.
So we did that, and I actually did take a picture inside the stall. I mean, I thought it was kind of weird. I mean, just as soon as I walked in there, I did. You're interested in see it? I still have it on my phone. It's just at the door. That's all it is. So we left there, and we went across the overpass to the other side of 45, and we said, let's just have a quick lunch. Oh my God. I'm gonna name the name of this restaurant, but the problem of this restaurant is there are no other ones outside of like a 40-mile radius of this part of Texas. Mm-hmm. There are none. It's like kind of a local. It's called Texas Burger. And I'd never heard of it, never been to one before because they're not anywhere around here. And we just went to a drive-thru and we got chicken fried steak strips, chicken fried steak fingers with seasoned fries, and piece of toast.
The first thing I asked you when you got that, it was what?
Was there gravy? Yes, there was white gravy.
Because that's the important part. I know you're not a gravy person.
I threw that away immediately.
Because it's like it's like eating portable chicken fried steak. I like my gravy on my chicken fried steak.
Let me tell you something about this chicken fried steak strips. I will be telling other people's grandchildren about these steak strips, and I'm like, how far is it to Madisonville from where we live? You want to get up at 9 on one day, like a Saturday, and we'll drive up to Madisonville and have lunch and come back?
Kay's wondering if they serve veggie patties.
I have no idea because I don't care about veggie patties. This is Nolan Ryan beef, is what they use. It was so genetically
good. Grew.
It was so good. I wanted to beat the crap out of Leanne because it was her suggestion together. You know, there's a phrase where I'm from Louisiana, called "slap your mama." When you have food, it's so good it makes you want to slap someone because it's awesome. Chicken fried means it has been battered and floured and fried. That's what it means. K28.
And it's chicken. Seasoned. They usually have chicken or steak. I mean, fried steak or chicken
tenders too.
A beef or chicken is what I'm saying.
It's just heartbreaking that there aren't any outside of this small area of Texas that's off of 45 between Madisonville and maybe Centerville, maybe. But yeah, I just I hate it when I have something that good and it's like, well, it's too far away to go and just hop up there and come back. So.
Well, anyway, it sounds like you had a wonderful. What kind of beverage did you have?
Oh, I just got like a Diet Coke, but it makes me want to go back and eat other stuff there. But we can't because it's too far.
Well, me and my 40-mile radius.
Now, let me see. Where is Madisonville, Texas, in relation to where we are?
Well, it's far. I know that much.
Oh, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, well,
because it wasn't even to Sam Houston.
You mean where the big statue is?
Yeah, big statue of Sam Houston that looms over I-45. Let's see, just real quick. I have to know. It is 1 hour and 35 minutes, so that is 101 miles for some steak fries. Or some, I guess maybe that's a bit much. Because 100 miles there, 100 miles back, that's 200 miles for lunch.
Yeah, that's pretty extensive. It has to be one of those burgers that slaps the heck out of you. There would
have to be something else for us to do there, like overnight. Something to see. Hang out at Buc-ee's in this place all day because you can see them across the road from each other.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Well, Solana, that brings us to the bottom of the hour. So
we just rambled about chicken fried steak.
That's what you're going to expect with Topic Roulette tonight. Is you never know where the wheel's going to fall.
Good old Stuckies.
And so you never know where the wheel's going to end up. So other than that, just stay there and. I'm looking at the board here real quick while I make an adjustment here, and here we go. You're listening to PAUK on the Paranormal Radio UK. I really butchered that one, didn't I? You're listening to PAUK Radio Network. We'll be right back after this. Hello, everybody. We're back. Of course, like always, when we do this broadcast, crazy, silly stuff happens while we're taking our break.
We're still talking about steak fingers.
We're still talking about steak fingers. And,
we're looking for the nearest one.
It goes to show, Sirlana, that the key thing to be a successful business is not to necessarily have a business in a city, major city like San Antonio or Houston or New York for that matter. The key thing is, if you want to be successful and you want to do a business like the business you're talking about, this Texas Burger, is you have to do the format of going to the small town. You become the best at doing the small town business. You know who profited off of doing that was Sam Walton. He brought Walmart to the small rural areas first before it became a big success in the big populated cities. Another fine example of that would have been Dairy Queen. You find Dairy Queens all over the place out in the country. And you recently told me some sad news. The company that owns Dairy Queen is filing for bankruptcy. I don't know what this means for Dairy Queen. It's sad because they have the best desserts and fast food, but conversely, the Hunger Buster. Oh, I knew you. Hunger Buster is good.
Is the highest calorie count of any burger of any fast food chain
even
anywhere.
More than Hardee's or
yes.
What is that? Not Hardee's, but it is Hardee's. It's Hardee's.
Half your daily allowance.
What's the name? Oh, Carl's Jr. is what I'm thinking of too.
I think it's more. I haven't looked
because
that up. So I'm not familiar with Carl's Jr.
They are pretty calorie. You know why? I hate to admit this. Okay, I'll have to say this first. I'm not saying that I got sick directly off the food at what was it I just said?
Carl's Jr.?
Carl's Jr. But I did eat there, and it made me sick. It might have been because the food was so intensely rich of
it was too
calories.
Much for you.
It was too much for me to handle. I couldn't handle it. It was too good. If I was an old man, I probably would have had a heart attack. That's how I feel. But, I'm not knocking it. If somebody wants to eat there, go ahead and eat there. It was just too much for me. But that place is just calorie intensive, and they flaunt it in your face.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. There is Needville that this Texas burger.
46 miles. We could do it.
6 miles.
46 miles.
6 miles out the radius.
Anyway,
was that a finger point?
We need to get started, don't we?
We are started right now. So if there's a topic you'd like to go into, Sirlana, let's head into it.
Somebody's asked you, do you like Jack in the Box?
Well, I do like Jack in the Box. And, I don't go there as often as I used to. I do love their tacos. The tacos are pretty tasty. I do like going there for their extreme breakfast sandwich. It's pretty good. And I like the croissant. I'm not a big croissant person, right? You can back me up on this, right, Sirlana?
Honestly,
anyway,
I didn't
take
know.
my word for it. I'm not a big croissant person, but they do have a croissant sausage thingy that I like to get. And you know why I really like to go to Jack in the Box is because they have the freestyle machine. And that means that I can get Diet Barks root beer. And so, so there's your answer. Yes, I do like going to Jack in the Box, not sponsored. But if you want to sponsor, you know our number. So, Jack in the Box, pretty tasty. But, I got to be honest with you. I do like going to Burger King. I like getting my burger with, it's basically this is how I order my burger from Burger King. 2 buns, meat, cheese, onions, and pickles. And I usually put a little pepper on it.
Is this interesting?
This is the topic of the night, just like your conversation with chicken finger thingies. So just roll with it, Sirlana. It's fun. So anyway,
but I had a religious experience with these things.
What? Over chicken strips?
Yes. They were that good. It was like an epiphany. It was like an explosion of understanding and feeling and meaning.
Oh, my God. So
it was like, I like to put this on my hamburger. No. You don't understand.
Somebody asked about Jack in the Box, so I gave them my story about Jack in the Box. And then I just thought I'd throw in, okay, I do like Burger King, and I wanted, to tell people how I like to get my burger made.
Look, now I'm hungry, and you've started a bad thing.
Well, I didn't start anything. Anyway, so where would you like to take this, Sirlana?
I found out something today. And I kind of knew it already, and I didn't know it wasn't official.
First off, thank you, Donna, for thinking it's funny. Please continue.
Don't pander to him, Donna. Anyway, do you remember Omni Magazine?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's coming back. It has been quietly launched. You know,
how can I sound surprised without knowing that I saw the article?
Well, it's the first new issue since 1990s. There was a second attempt to revive it before this. It was called Omni Reboot.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
But it's going to do the same thing, publish a mix of fiction and nonfiction futurism. The first issue includes a coverage of a space arc project, stories from Nancy Kress, Maureen McHugh, and Rich Larson. Now, I remember still looking at Omni Magazine is somewhere in the early to mid 90s because I was still in college and I had a freshman biology class, and I used Omni Magazine as some kind of reference to some kind of little research thing we had to do there. But what I remember about it was it always had the craziest interesting cover art on the magazine. As well as illustrations inside to go with the stories and everything. But I didn't know about the reboot. Excuse me, I'm looking at something else here. I don't think it lasted too long, but there was some lawsuit problems over the trademark between the original, the reboot, and now the new one that's come out with just the same name, Omni.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get some back issues. They're still for sale, and they're on Amazon Kindle store. I just think that's cool. I'd check them out. I don't know if it's on Unlimited or not, but I think it's cool if it's back. Now, I don't know if it'll ever be the same. So there's something about Omni back in the day when it was originally out that just, I don't know, there's just a vibe of it. We're just modern now, and it's just, I don't know if it's can capture that feeling.
What, Omni, when it originally came out?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
it was just so cool.
It was very cool and hip, and it just kind of gave you like this idea of the future. And but there's a lot of things that if properly channeled, this new Omni version can really capture a lot of the coolness that's out there.
If I was them, I'd probably do a lot of stuff more about AI and, fiction, nonfiction,
sure.
and futurism, and maybe they are. I need to find a way to check them out because I enjoyed them back in the day.
Well, let's dive in and do some research and find out, what it's all about and what this new.
Did you ever see it back in the day? Or
oh yeah,
I
occasionally got a copy of Omni Magazine, and
my dad used to get. Must have been late 80s, early 90s. He used to get like a fistful of subscriptions. We had, I want to say maybe we had Omni, but we had, it was some kind of deal, and we had like Popular Mechanics, Popular Science. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed looking at those magazines, even if I didn't really get much out of Popular Mechanics. There was something to look at. There was always like, here's what people thought of the future in the 1920s, and here's what's concepts are coming up, and I really enjoyed that. I miss that.
Did you used to get also National Geographic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always look forward
that.
to those because sometimes it would have a cool little map in there or something like the topic at hand. And those were usually cool to read. But yeah, Popular Mechanics was another one, which always had some kind of cool futuristic thing coming down the pipe.
There were some others that were more kind of like...
obscure?
Yeah, indie, independent. If I could think of them, I would tell you, y'all probably know what it is, but I can't think. Maybe it was Atlantic Monthly or something like that, which is probably still around. But I kind of miss getting physical magazines you can look at like that.
Other now is we collect mail for kindling in case the electricity goes out.
Yeah, I mean, the mail that comes to the mailbox in front of the house is like, what, 10% of it's legit. The rest of it is like, just put it directly back in the garbage. You're going to
say 10%. I'm going to say less than that.
5?
Wow. Maybe 5% is legitimate because a lot of the things we do now is online.
Reader's Digest.
I mean, we pay bills and stuff online. I mean, I mean,
I've never downloaded a magazine like on Kindle or whatever. Mm-hmm. It would probably look better on my Kindle Fire, which is just sitting on a shelf, dead. It came in handy when I was taking some grad courses, but I'm usually under the covers reading a book on my phone, covertly. Mm-hmm. That's what I enjoy doing. So,
hey, I want to just say quickly before we transition to something else.
Sure, go ahead.
It's kind of a serious topic here. November is Diabetes Awareness Month.
Is it?
And I bring this up because a lot of people don't know this, but I'm diabetic. And, I have to take some medication to monitor my sugar levels and all that good stuff. But, if you know somebody out there that, maybe seems to need to have it checked out, get them to the doctor, send them there, let them, just go ahead and get the test. It's real easy. The doctor can run a test. And tell you if you're diabetic or not. And it's always good to make sure that everything's running smoothly with the old body.
If you let that go and you don't know, there's consequences?
There are some consequences.
Permanent ones?
Permanent ones if it's not taken care of properly. There's a thing called diabetic neuropathy. And what that is the nerves in your body become, think of it as oversurging a power line. It gets to a point where they can get to a point where you can't feel things. That's why they tell you as a diabetic to always wear shoes, and in the sense of when you're walking around, don't go barefoot. Yeah, is what I'm trying to say.
You do that around the house.
Occasionally around the house.
Every time I see you don't wear shoes.
I don't know when when I'm in bed. I mean, I'm not going to wear shoes to bed.
No,
How crazy is that?
I've seen you walk all the way from our bedroom into the garage.
And one time in the morning to go get my laundry out of the dryer. That's the only time you see me barefoot.
Just showed evolve into
all the time. The point is, it is diabetic awareness month. So, like I said, before we go any further and we start choking each other, take the time to have yourself checked out. If you think that you might have an issue.
Any symptoms that would tip you off if you think?
Well, I mean, if you feel dizzy, lightheaded, if you start sweating profusely at the same time for no reason, it seems like it's no reason. That's something to definitely get it checked out. Even if it's not diabetes and it's something else, it's definitely something to have your doctor check out.
Well, those 3 symptoms are also a sign of a oncoming stroke. You told me something one time
about lifting your arm.
I shouldn't laugh, but I do it. I'll start feeling like, oh my gosh, I'll just immediately raise my left arm. Okay, I can raise my arm over my head. I must be okay. So you're saying I'm not having an episode if I can get my arm over my head. So that always makes me feel a little bit better. So I think my issue is my anxiety, and I'm a little bit off my meds lately, and I need to get back on them, and, so.
Well, that's those symptoms of, chest pain. Like, for example, heavy or tight pain in the chest can also spread into the arms, neck, jaw, and back. So it could also cause additional symptoms such as breathlessness and nausea. So those are kind of on the track of a heart attack. But once again, any kind of pain in the chest, you definitely want to get that checked out.
And I have had it checked out, and it is, for me, it's anxiety.
I know it's anxiety for you, but
other people don't ignore it.
Hey, did you get it checked out?
I sure did. It took 3 years to get it diagnosed.
But the thing is, you got it checked out and you figured out what it was, right?
In 3 years, yeah.
It may, okay,
That's why you can't give up.
When climbing the mountain, you might not get to the top overnight, but the important thing is you keep climbing the mountain until you get to the top.
And then when I got to the top, I wanted to punch a lot of people.
You feel like punching a lot of people. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying, have yourself checked out. It's Diabetes Awareness Month, so just do it. There's our PSA.
Is it a simple thing to test? Is it like a blood test?
Yeah, usually they'll take your blood, and they can tell if you're, plus, they'll run a test and they can tell, how long, your sugar levels have been at a certain level.
Really?
And it's all, it's the new space age, Sirlana, and they can do a lot of things.
Well, I'm glad you told us about that.
Well, I'm glad I could bestow a little knowledge and, share a little piece of privacy about myself. But it's important,
Well,
I mean,
if you can help someone and
Right.
you know what it's like to go through it, that's always useful.
I'm going to tell you, it's a difficult thing doing the thing I have to do to maintain being healthy.
I could talk about anxiety and social anxiety,
And when that month comes, we'll talk about it.
I don't know if there is an awareness month for crippling social anxiety that you have it and you don't want to do anything about it.
Robert, you're absolutely right, or Bob. Testing your A1 levels, that will definitely is on the same level of letting you know about your diabetes. So, but there you go.
And
so,
that is important to do because it can be managed in one way or another, I know.
Properly managed, you can live a very long and healthy life. And, it's just what it comes down to is taking care of yourself. And
my situation, I feel like, I can manage it with a medication. But I also think at some point, my anxiety and paranoia is going to come in handy near the end of the world because I think it'll be come in handy not to trust people and be paranoid. Someday I'll be vindicated. So.
And any immortal words of Wilford Brimley? Diabetes.
Diabetes.
So anyway, there's our little PSA, and so where do we go from there, Solana?
Hey, did you know Roku is probably going to get into home audio?
What?
Well, let me tell you. So, while nobody was looking,
usually the case,
Roku quietly acquired this Danish audio startup called Dynastrom for $3.5 million. And that was in September. And I guess somebody started looking at the filing when they filed to do this. It's a privately held technology company based in Denmark. So somebody did a little digging, and they had, the CEO join Roku of this little startup.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an evidence that Roku might be jumping into some kind of home audio in the not too distant future. Now, this Dynastrom makes software that can be integrated into a loudspeaker's hardware, so you can stream music throughout your house over your Wi-Fi. So do you see where Roku might be going with that? It's a feature you can find on something like Amazon Echo.
Mm-hmm. Intelligent home audio.
I'm looking at there is an embedded video here for Dynastrom, and it's got like the cutout of a house, and it's got like music being streamed to all these different parts of your houses,
right.
These speakers, like your TV speaker bar, your Bluetooth speaker in your room, and then you've got your big tall speakers in this room, and then you've got your surround sound in another room. And so I could see how maybe they want to take their streaming services and get it to where you can stream the audio to all parts of your house.
When your home entertainment system in the living room was just not enough, let's blast through every speaker in the house.
Why not?
I guess not. I mean, that definitely puts a spin if they can manage to separate the audio. Can you imagine, you remember I've talked about one of my all-time favorite movies. I went to go see Aliens, and how at the time it was Dolby Surround was just really coming into its own at that time.
Dolby Surround?
Yeah, so, I'm sitting in a practically...
Did the theater have...
practically empty theater, because, I skipped school. I'm not promoting that, but I'm just telling you I skipped it for this particular thing.
Oh, you're such a little badass.
So, regular Ferris Bueller. So I went to the theater and watched the movie, and it felt like aliens were coming out from behind me, and all of a sudden, because of the sound quality.
The sound, okay.
Now, I can only imagine if they're able to recreate something similar to that, where you have different sounds coming from different rooms, and it makes you feel like... something's in the house, or, depending on what you're watching. So, I think that, if that was something on that lines of what they're trying to do, I think that's kind of cool.
I would be curious to have that in our living room.
I'm a bad boy.
How old were you?
Oh, let's see.
You had to have gotten yourself there somehow, right?
Yeah, I rode my bike.
Oh, you rode your bike.
Yeah.
12?
The 30...
13, 14?
Something around that age. Maybe... when did Aliens come out?
How did you get out and them not know?
Well, the thing is,
class?
I look pretty old for a high school kid.
No, I mean, at your school, weren't they looking for you? Were you there and then you
No,
left?
I checked myself out of school. I wrote...
How did you do that?
Okay.
I couldn't do stuff like that.
Don't. So I'm going to tell you how I did it, and I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. So anyway, if I ever wanted to get out of school for any reason, I just wrote myself a note. Please excuse Space Boy. He has a doctor's appointment today, or please excuse Space Boy because he needs blah, blah, blah to go here or whatever. And, I'd give them the note. They say, okay, see you later. And they would check me out, and then I would leave.
They did something silly to get out of PE. My mom would write me different notes, and she'd do it in different, like blue ink one time, black ink next time, and she would never date it. And so I'd give that to the PE teacher, and they would give it back to me. And so I could recycle them to get out of PE.
I was 16 when Aliens came out.
Okay.
15, 16, around that age.
I think that's a charming story. I guess that's why we don't have kids, because I'm a bad influence.
It was I was like, I got to go see this movie. I want to see this movie, and, skip school, and there was nobody in this theater.
Was this Aliens or
Aliens? This was,
two.
Number 2, 2 was pretty awesome because James Cameron directed it,
Yeah.
And everybody knows that this is probably one of the best out of the Alien franchise, so.
And we just finished Stranger Things 2, and I guess, I don't know if this is a spoiler. I won't tell you anything about it, but I think it's widely known that Paul Reiser's in it, largely because of the role he played in Aliens. And there's some really obvious in-your-face sequences and references to Aliens and other 80s, 90s things. So go treat yourself. Listen, I'm going to give you all one more week before I start spilling everything about Stranger Things 2, because I desperately want to talk about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Get to it, people.
Because, it's coming. And, we're going to talk about Stranger Things eventually.
It was so good. And I'm sick of people saying it's derivative and it's not original. Well, it's not making any apologies for not being derivative and original. It's intentional. But there's still enough of a dynamic between the people.
It's got a great soundtrack. The kids are wonderful.
Watch it for the acting level of these kids.
I mean, and then when you're done watching it, go to YouTube, because you're going to feel like, okay, what do I watch now that Stranger Things is over? There's a lot of stuff with interviews
Things
with these
you
kids.
missed, Easter eggs,
these kids
interviews.
can dance, they can sing, they can play music instruments.
Well, if you're on Netflix and you're finished Stranger Things 2, go watch Beyond Stranger Things with our beloved Jim Rash, which we just love.
Our favorite Dean.
Our favorite Dean.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. He was on Community. The first 3 seasons were the best. Just like most things, the first 3 seasons were the best. But he played the dean of the community college.
Surprisingly, that's not the case with Deep Space Nine. First 3 seasons were until Worf got on there.
He also won an Academy Award for writing he did on some film that what's his face starred in. He was one of 3 people who won a writing award for best writing on this movie, and he got up there on stage and he was mocking Angelina Jolie with her legs sticking out.
I recall that.
Remember that? He was
funny.
doing that right in front of Brad Pitt too. So,
maybe that's why
that was him, little bald-headed
took
guy.
him a while to come around to Angelina, because I guess maybe he thought he had better legs.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love him as a person, and he's all into Stranger Things, and he does a good job interviewing the cast. And there's maybe 6 of those on Netflix, so those are a treat.
So you got 2 of those things on Netflix, but I'm saying YouTube is just littered,
chock full of stuff,
just everything you can imagine.
First and second,
of the whole cast. And I've watched things from the Emmy Awards to Jimmy Fallon.
They must have wrapped the shooting on the first season and kept going with the girl who plays Elle, because they would have to do the season 2 things before she got older and grew up. they must have just filmed it at the same time and what sat on it, and then because I mean they're obviously older and they're just they're growing like weeds. So
well, they were talked to be about the next season being that there
is a season 3
high school.
Yeah, I guess they're going to be seniors, 14 and 15, yeah,
or something like that. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the next season, and so.
But I just hate they make you wait a year for everything.
And the kid, I guess his name's Dustin. Is it
in the show?
In the show,
curly haired.
Yeah, what's his name?
Gayton.
Yeah, so I got a chance. I remember seeing a video of him when he was younger, and he was doing that the play Les Miserables, and he played a small part in that.
He can sing.
Oh, he can.
He can really sing. He sang the national anthem.
I remember seeing that too, and it was like, I remember this. I couldn't believe that it was like, okay, I didn't make the connection.
The kid who plays Lucas was in the Broadway production of The Lion King as Simba,
really?
The cub. Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they have a pedigree there of going back even younger to where
the red-haired girl played Annie.
Yeah.
She says if you're a kid and you've been on a Broadway, you know all the other kids. So that those three knew each other way before Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. So you all hang out. So.
And I think Barb even goes back because I think she was on Special Victims Unit. She was a couple of shows on that where she played a dead person.
Yeah,
I mean, she nails that part.
She's good at being dead.
Well, speaking of dead, it looks like we've reached the top of the hour, and we've got to take these breaks because they're important. So we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Space Boy Universe on the SBU Network. All right, we're back. So we were talking about Stranger Things, so let's just finish this conversation real quick. Get your Stranger Things fix and watching on, because within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about Stranger Things. So we give you a chance to get to watch in, and then we're going to talk about it. So don't get all heard about it when we start talking about it. I didn't want to go there, but you did, so. So
you've been warned.
Yeah, you've been warned. So Speaking of movies, I know that Valerian is out finally on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on purchasing that.
Okay.
And
Good,
so,
I wanna see it.
yeah, I know you've been wanting to see that, and I do too. And I'm sure it's going to look fabulous on our ultra high definition TV because the thing looks very colorful.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else. We saw Atomic Blonde recently. What did you think about that?
This is all right.
Too much nude, Charlie?
No.
Charlie?
I was about to fall asleep already. I was already
Tired?
Yeah. So it was just kind of at a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, it was like the female, she's lead, she kicks butt, and it was kind of like a little twist at the end, and I was like, oh, it's okay, It's all right. It's something to do.
Yeah, it was all right.
That's all I can say about it.
It's one of those movies, it was all right. It'll be great if you have a subscription to, like a major, like HBO or Showtime, and it's a part of my free bunch, I'll watch it. Or, hey, thanks, Joe, for bringing that movie over. Let's watch it together, I wouldn't probably rent it. But, I mean, we own it now.
Well,
so.
you couldn't rent it. It was either buy it or don't watch it.
And so it's one of those movies that, the trailer looks pretty damn good. But, at the end of the day...
I'm telling you, they should just make trailers. And
it was all right. It had that one chick in there from Star Trek.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
But, yeah, she was cool.
She was also in the first Kingsman.
Yes, that is true. Oh, she kicked butt in that one. Man, so I'm hoping she comes back for Star Trek 4. Jayla, yeah.
J-Lo
or
not J-Lo.
Jello?
Jello. No. Jayla.
So anyway, where do we go from here, Solana?
Well, once upon a time, we all used to get plagued by spam email.
Still get plagued by it.
I think, the spam I get's legit. It's my fault that I get it because I sign up or I bought something somewhere. So
I'm not getting the stuff from the Nigerian prince anymore. But
yeah, so that kind of stuff. So we're really not plagued by that because all that the spam filters I think are a lot smarter now, and that immediately goes to your trash, your junk folder, so you don't have to look at it. But if you're bored and you do go look at your junk folder, you can take these scam emails, because they're still out there. You can send these scam emails to a chat bot, and it will waste the scammer's time for you. Now, so, this is a premise, scam. That's the name of this thing. It's an email chat bot. It's in New Zealand, but they operate it down there by a firm called NetSafe. They're a cybersecurity company. So if one of these, let's say one of these emails makes it to your inbox instead of, your other one, NetSafe will, says, here's what you do. You forward that mail to me at rescam.org, me at rescam.org. And a proxy email address will start replying to that scammer for you just to waste their time. And it's pretty funny. There's a few examples they show on this site I'm looking at. They show an example of, at first, the scam. And I mean, this thing is long. And it's something about her late husband. Contact your lawyer and we can change the beneficiary in your name so you can get the funds that belong to you, blah, blah, blah. And so Rescam says, hey there, thanks for getting in touch. I'm sorry to hear about your late husband. I struggle with punctuality myself and I know how irritating it can be. This sounds like new territory for me. Before we get the lawyers involved, would it be a good idea for me to get some legal advice? And so now a back and forth has started.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like that one guy that...
James Vitch.
Oh, he's hilarious.
The best.
Talking about, he did the, I guess one where the Nigerian, I call it the Nigerian prince thing, but he's done that one. And I recently watched something where he antagonized a roommate. Or
yes, that was good. That was
or as they like to say over there, flatmate.
Flatmate, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
apartment mate.
Yeah. So, yeah, he is quite entertaining. If you get a chance, you should reach out on YouTube and take a look at some of his videos. What's his name again?
It's James. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right. Vitch. It's like VEITCH.
Come on, Shalana. This is a family show. Got to keep that language clean.
Well, that's his name. Now, I kind of knew of him a ways back because I believe he's the guy behind rathergood.com.
Yeah.
And he did all these flash animations. They were like little music videos with animations, and probably the most famous one he did.
Wait a minute, that was him?
Yeah, I think it's him. Yeah. The most famous one that I loved was, and this is before Immigrant Song got this resurgence in popularity. He did a flash animation of these kittens wearing Viking helmets and holding these big axes on this boat in a pond, and it was just this boat sailing along to Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. And I used to go to the site all the time. You know, there was that and another site that had stuff like that, and I can't remember. There's this website that had the number 3 in it instead of the letter E. Beta, something like that. But anyway, that's when flash animations were wildly popular, like Animutation, Fan Mutation. This had to be 2000, 2001, 2002, and then it just sort of died out because I really need Adobe Flash to die.
I think a lot of people are kind of wishing it would die.
If it does, then probably 50% of the internet will die because it still relies on it as a platform for like online web games. Well,
let's take this program for example. We use a site called Spreaker, and the player that we use is basically Spreaker's things. So we're using that to do the broadcasting. They have one that you can download to the computer, but it's not the same.
It's not as good.
Yeah, it's not as good. I mean, well, let me say it this way. The options that are available with the web interface Flash-based versus the one that you can download for your desktop are two different beasts altogether. I would love to have the one that's like the one that they have here that's Flash-based for the desktop. And, you know, it's a challenge because, you know, we've had this in the past where it has just crapped out because it was Flash. Right. And nothing is worse than to have something like that crash on you. And you know, so anyway.
So it's not just games that are online. It's programs that run like this show, and it's other things as well. So there's a lot that still relies on Flash. And because of that, I don't know how much longer it's going to take for it to die. Mm-hmm. And it needs to, for online stuff,
because
like videos.
I thought HTML5 was going to be like the...
Yes, that is the one that's supposed to take care of it.
To save everything. And where are we?
OpenGL was supposed to take up for online games. Or WebGL.
And how long has that been in the process?
A while. Quite a while. Maybe 5 years more.
It's like when's the last time you had a bowl of Wolf Brand chili? Not a sponsor, by the way. That's been too long.
It's an old one.
Yeah, it is an old one. Sorry.
We really show our age sometimes, don't we? But it's time for it to go. There's better things out there. We need to start using them, people. Now, that will affect me because I have some sites I go to kill time, like shockwave.com. Mm-hmm. Do you remember shockwave.com? Mm-hmm. It's been around forever. Mm-hmm. And it's a subscription-based thing, and although it does have free stuff, and I go there for the free stuff, but it's a little bit limited. But time killers, time wasters while I'm waiting on something to happen.
Sure.
But that would greatly affect sites like that. Again, that's not a huge loss to anybody, I suppose, but it's time to move on. It's time to evolve and progress.
Let me get this straight, Solana. What you're saying here is it's time to move on, right?
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Move on? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I feel strongly about that. Well, speaking of things moving, did you know something really interesting happened in September 2014?
Okay.
And I don't recall hearing about this.
A couple of years ago?
Yeah. There's this astronomer, and I want to say his name, I'm going to try to pronounce this, Arkavi. That's his last name. Well, this guy, he's an astronomer, Arkavi. He found a new supernova at night, and he's like, hey, there's new and whatever, dime a dozen, right? It looked like any other star that just died, and you know what happens when you go supernova, right? It bursts. It's an explosion. It goes supernova. So that means this thing brightened, and then you're going to have a point where you reach, and then it starts fading, right?
Right, exactly.
That's what they do. So that means it was coming to an end when it dims. So that part was over, so he abandoned that supernova and went to look for others that were more recent. But, we've got telescopes that are on autopilot, looking for stuff. I guess they're programmed to look at stuff. So
we don't have to sit there and look for stuff?
So it continued to monitor that particular supernova that he moved on from for the next couple of months. It's like a just in case.
Right.
Well, turns out in early 2015, this guy asked a student, hey, will you go look through the data we've collected and see if there's anything interesting in there? Cool, different, strange. Sure enough, that same supernova that he dismissed was getting brighter again, like it exploded again. He says, we've never seen a supernova do that before. This guy, Arkavi, is an observational astronomer at the UC Santa Barbara and Las Cumbres Observatory. So he was immediately intrigued by this particular supernova. So he and a team started monitoring it at that observatory. And over the next 2 years, they discovered something really interesting. Their data said just how strange it was. The supernova would stay bright for 600 days instead of the typical 100 days that supernovae usually shine before they go dark. So during this time, this star repeatedly grew brighter and fainter up to 5 times, like it was erupting over and over again. Unprecedented. So they're scrambling to figure out what in the world has caused these fluctuations, and the leading idea may be that it could be an imposter. Maybe it's an event that looks like a supernova, but it's not actually a destruction of the star.
Well, if I can interject at this point, because it reminds me of another article I was reading not too long ago about how you have black holes and there should be white holes, meaning that matter dumping back into the universe, just like the opposite of a black hole. And they speculate, that they're out there. It's just a matter of finding it. So I immediately thought, well, here's something that seems like it's not, it's exploded, but it's not decreasing in any way. And it just seems like it just naturally keeps on going. And so I immediately thought, well, I'm wondering if this is one of these theoretical,
dear?
Thank you, my dear. And black or white holes that they theorize that are out there.
What's the difference between... Is there supposed to be a difference between white and black?
White
sucks in.
Yeah, and the white hole
spews out.
Spews out. But I'm thinking that it's connected to another universe, a parallel universe, possibly, according to the article that I read. So it could be ejecting matter out, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Okay. That's a pretty good idea. But okay, so. They're pitching these theories about this, but the best theories don't match what they've actually observed. So the origins of this supposed supernova are still a mystery because they said no existing model or theory of supernovae fully explains what we're seeing here. And what they did was they took the light and separated it into its component colors that they were observing, this, the spectra. They said that's like getting a fingerprint of the supernova. The colors tell astronomers what materials the star is made of, how fast it's moving, and how hot it is. So what the spectra revealed is that the supernova looked almost exactly like the most common supernova we already know about. So, okay, now what is this thing doing? So it's incredibly different. So not only did it fluctuate, brightness, but it also seemed to age in slow motion. It's really weird. What we can do is astronomers can tell how old a supernova is by measuring how fast the material is moving around it. So usually materials will start to slow down. That makes sense. You explode out and then eventually it slows down, right? As you move away from the center of an explosion. But with this star, the materials around the event remained at really high speeds. After 600 days, it still looked like it was only 60 days old.
Isn't
that interesting?
Here's another thing is to keep in mind that you're looking at an object that's quite some distance. Did it say how far it was from us?
No, I'm not up to that part. I guess maybe they did. But they said this star may have exploded before 2014, over half a century ago.
Once again, what I'm getting at is, the time it takes light to get from there to here. There's that delay. Yeah. And then it's also important that, the fabric of space is not just this, like this smooth surface, like a smooth part of our desk, right? There's actually different parts that are affected by different parts of gravity. Now, remember, gravity affects time. So, wow, okay, I got to take care of that at some point during the break. So, there are going to be parts where time is faster and slower depending on how the light transverses across the fabric of space. So I know it starts to really...
But they're saying when they looked through the old archive data for this area of the sky, they found another supernova that had exploded in essentially the same spot in 1954. And they're pretty sure it's the same star or a very unlikely coincidence. So how did this star explode at least once in the 50s and then again 3 years ago?
You mean like like Groundhog Day kind of thing? Like Groundhog Day.
So they're saying, okay, the best thing they can come up with is called pulsational pair instability, or PPI. It's an event that kind of, they say masquerades a supernova. It occurs in stars around 100 times the mass of our sun. So if you have a star that's bigger than our sun by 100 times, so if a star like this reaches the end of its life, the core can get really, really hot, like we're talking billions of degrees hot, and becomes unstable. So at that point, the oxygen inside the core ignites, the star will blow off, the outer layer of material, and it looks like a big explosion, but ultimately it leaves the core of the star intact. So I guess the core can just do it again and again and again, till it actually dies. But no one's ever observed a PPI phenomenon in action before, so this could be the first. It could be a first model. It could be, pretty big for observing something you've never seen before.
Right.
But they're saying even the PPI theory doesn't quite match what they observed. The fluctuations are thought to be much more varied in brightness between the bursts. Plus, if this star did erupt in 54, it would have gotten rid of most of its hydrogen back then, and the team found the supernova still to be rich in hydrogen, so that model needs to be changed or revised, or it could be something completely new. Other less viable explanations, it's a zombie star.
Yeah.
Coming
that's to AMC this Sunday, The Walking Star.
So they're saying they'll continue to monitor the dimming event with the Hubble telescope, and they'll try to find some more clues. But bottom line, he says, is we don't know what it is, but for scientists, that's the best news of all because we love a puzzle. I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty fascinating, and I'm glad you brought that one up because I was like, okay, why would this be doing this, or why is there kind of like this reversed, re-explosion of of the thing? So, I have given it a little thought and came to some conclusions, and I'm not saying I'm a science expert or anything, but I do have my own spacesuit. So anyway,
so you're qualified for what?
I am qualified to entertain the masses.
All right.
So what else we got going on?
Well, here's a hot story that we haven't covered because it just, I don't know, it didn't really fit in or whatever.
Newsflash, Peoria.
It's along the same line as Science-y.
Mm-hmm.
So, apparently, Giza's Great Pyramid has revealed some new stuff to us.
I think I saw some pictures on this. Please tell.
Subatomic particles reveal a mysterious structure inside Giza's Great Pyramid. So, I don't know who did what or how, but apparently they found a shower of subatomic particles has revealed an outline of an empty cavity inside the Great Pyramid at Giza. It's the first discovery of something new in almost 2 centuries.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they don't know exactly what it is or what's there, but it could help solve a mystery of how ancient civilizations constructed this thing
once again
5,400 years ago.
How are they going to get a chance to actually explore the pyramid to get to those spots? I mean, I think I saw a picture of where these spots are, and how originally I think it was the Germans wanted to send this little robot thing up and kind of go into an area, but the Egyptian government said no, and so no research has been able to go any further than what's been done.
Are they trying to preserve it for posterity, or do they already know something they don't want anybody else to know?
I think what it is, I'm going to butcher his name. I just know Zawi. Well, I know he's not over the antiquities anymore, but he was very, you got to do it through me. You can't go through anyone else. Right. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
As Adam Savage says.
Yeah, so that's kind of his thing that he would do, and so the guy was very arrogant and self-centered, and if anybody would try to present a new idea or a new concept of Egyptian,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Ancient tech,
he's kind of a
yeah. So Yowie, I know our space cadets know who it is. I'm just drawing for a blank on how to say it, and so. But anyway, yeah, he was quite a pain.
He's the head honcho of this type of thing,
right?
But so, like I said, I don't know how they're going to do this, but they're saying they're using a technique similar to an X-ray. They've discovered an empty cavity inside the largest pyramid, the one that they built for, I guess, Khufu, also known as Cheops. And the discovery is the latest finding for Scan Pyramids mission. It's an international effort to spy inside ancient stone structures without drilling holes. So, I was always thinking, why can't they use something like ground penetrating radar to look in here without, causing damage?
Well, I think there's only so far you can do with that. And I think they've done that, and that's how they've discovered these cavities inside the pyramid. And the problem at this point is allowing them
Hawass?
Yes. Man,
That's all right. You're close.
I was close. I know
it was IE.
I know with the Arab Spring, they knocked him out of his position. I don't know what his status is now, but I know that for many years he's I guess what was it? He's just
the head honcho.
He was the head honcho, and if you didn't buy into his thinking, you were not allowed to do anything, because if he wrote the book on things, and that was the final say. And he's a prime example of scientists that stifle the truth of reality, and I cannot stand people like that.
He's not interested in people learning or knowing the truth.
Expanding,
he just wants to hold the knowledge like some kind of
overlord.
Intellectual dictator,
Yeah, so, but anyway, yes, thank you, Space Cadets.
Genesee said, I kept thinking Zowie too. Zoe. Zai. So this has been the space they found. It's been dubbed the Big Void. It's in the center of this pyramid. It's almost 100 feet long. It's located above that big internal corridor called the Grand Gallery. It's one of many passages that connect the two large rooms inside the pyramid, the Grand Gallery. You know, the Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber. So what they did was they were tracking particles called muons. Muons are produced when cosmic rays permeate our universe, pummel our atmosphere, and break down, creating kind of a subatomic confetti. Okay, we can get you get really into that, but they were analyzing how many muons were traveling through the pyramid, and that's how they found it. We're not sure what this is about, but it's impressive. They suspect that it's no accident that it's there. It's not due to decay or anything falling apart.
Sure.
It wasn't created by,
It's actually, it was created on purpose, is what you're getting at. Now, before we go to break here real quick, it's like, it's man-made, and it's not something, deterioration over time and space. Well, I just think
it's cool that they found something new, and it's been 2 centuries it's been sitting there, and they didn't know about it.
Well, you might want to include that with Flash. As far as how long it's taken to come to the realization must move on.
Let's put the code for Adobe Flash inside something and stick it in the pyramid.
Let's give it to Zowie and see what he does with it. So anyway, on that magical note, let's take our break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Space Boy Universe on the PAUK Radio Network. All right, we're back. Hey, everybody! I know you know that I'm a musician, Space Boy. It's been in the game for some time, and you know I have the Space Boy Music site. That's spaceboymusic.com. You know I bring this up at this time because one, it's a site where you can go check out all the groovy tunes that you hear on the Space Boy universe and places out there in the universe. So go to spaceboymusic.com. Get you some music. It's really cool. Even Grandma likes to bug out to it. So there you go. A little advertisement. So, Sirlana, we're back.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Today is November 11th.
Mm-hmm.
It is Veterans Day in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
World War I ended on the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918. The First World War left 9 million soldiers dead, 21 million wounded, with Germany, Russia, Austria-Hungary, France, and Great Britain losing each nearly 1 million or more lives. In addition, at least 5 million civilians died from disease, starvation, or exposure. Some other facts about veterans today. 16.1 million are living veterans served during at least one war. 5.2 million veterans served in peacetime. 2 million veterans are women. 7 million veterans served during Vietnam. 5.5 during Persian Gulf. 6 of the 16 million Americans who served during World War II, 558,000 are still alive. 2 million veterans served in Korean War. 6 million served in peacetime. As of 2014, 2.9 million veterans received compensation for service-connected disabilities. As of 2014, 3 states have more than 1 million veterans among their population. California, 1.8 million, Florida, 1.6 million, and Texas at 1.7 million. The VA healthcare system had 54 hospitals in 1930. Since then, it's 171 medical centers, 350 outpatient community and outreach clinics, 126 nursing home care units, and 35 live-in care facilities for injured and disabled vets. But I don't think we can do enough for them.
No. You know, American vets deserve all the respect, you know, that we can give them. I mean, they sacrifice for their country. And, you know, I'm going to get on a rant here in just a second here.
Go ahead.
And first off, I got to do this properly. And
that's not proper.
That's not proper. That's not proper either. So hold on, I'll get my act together. Here we go. So here's what gets my goat. The VA system, you would think that would be you know, just the best medical system that you could get for our vets. It is a travesty. I really think that our representatives should not have insurance. They should be forced to go to the VA system, and so that you know, they can experience what a lot of our vets have to go through. These people sacrifice so much to ensure the freedoms of the United States, and I can't say enough good things, and you know, to cover into this program how much I appreciate our veterans. My uncle and my grandfather were both in the Air Force, and I know many friends that have joined in the military. We have listeners that are military, and you know, just my hats are off to you, and just know that I'm very pro-military when it comes to our people, and I think it's a shame that Washington doesn't treat our vets with a little bit more dignity and respect that they deserve. So there you go. There's my goat thing.
Alrighty.
All right, I've said.
All right, I just wait.
Yeah, I know. I figured I'd keep it short and sweet. I don't, you know, try to go too political, but you know, it just really burns my hide. The disrespect that our veterans get, you know, and it's supposedly, you know, I watch our representatives, and they live like kings and queens up there in Washington. And meanwhile, we get some of our veterans that are living out on the street, or that they need basic health care, and the VA is not providing a service that these vets deserve. These vets, and then you hear horror stories.
You just said you were done.
I know. I see what I tell you. Just go down this line and then you hear these horror stories of them go like a vet going in there and having to it's a basic operation and he loses his arm and it wasn't even the surgery in the first place. So anyway, I'm going to stop there because I could really go down this road. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, just know that if you've served in the military, I have a love and appreciation for what you've done, and thank you for your service.
Amen.
You better move on.
Okay. Well, I have gotten a note that I have a tendency to cut you off, and I said, well, that's just because that's how we are together in real life, so I was just making sure you said everything you want to say without me interrupting.
Well, I appreciate that, and I recognize you, sometimes you do. I don't think you do it intentionally.
It's going to happen again. Don't, fortunately, you don't take it personally. Right?
Dead silence. I wanted our audience to worry about us.
You ever wonder what happens?
Hey, if the cheese was made if the moon was made of cheese.
If the cheese was made of moon.
Would you eat the moon? Come on, Sir Lana, it's an easy question.
I miss those fake commercials. I don't know why you won't bring them back.
Well, at some point...
Are we trying to be professional now?
I don't think that we're professional in the slightest. We're just here. We're entertainers. We're here to entertain the masses. That's what we do.
One night, could you bring back a block? Just one of the blocks.
I guess I'll dig some of that stuff up.
Because, the UK audience hasn't heard any of those.
Yeah, those are off the deep end. And of course, at some point,
silly.
We'll have to bring the K-28 belt back in.
Yeah, he misses it.
I know he does.
Ever wonder what happens to astronauts' brains when they're in space?
They shrink.
A new study analyzes the MRI scans of astronauts. Wait till you hear this one. So, of course...
Oh, well, hold on. Is this going to be like a joke at me at some point?
Your head's already in space, dear. Anyway, so, of course, being in space, being on the ISS, or, having been on the space shuttle or doing any work outside, the outside of, the ISS or whatever, of course, that's going to take a toll on the human body, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're living in 0G, apparently... it can even reposition a person's brain inside your head. Can you believe this? Listen to this. Brain scans of astronauts have revealed that long stays in space can cause the brain to shift upward in the skull and lessen the amount of protective fluid surrounding the brain. Is that the cerebral fluid?
Yeah.
Okay. But they don't know exactly how these changes affect health. But it could have applications for how NASA keeps crew members healthy during deep space missions. Oh, I just smacked the heck out of my mic.
Wow.
Sorry.
I hope that's not like practice on me.
No. So these findings are some of these big studies they've been doing on the brains of astronauts with MRI scans of 16 of them before and after sending them into space for a couple of weeks on the space shuttle. So that had to have been pretty far back. As well as 18 astronauts, they scanned them before and after they went to the ISS, where they stayed a few months. I just don't know how you stay a month or more in 0G. It doesn't seem like that's a good idea. Physically. So the brain changes were more pronounced, of course, for those who stayed longer in space. It's not the first time they've seen changes like this, but they could explain some of the bizarre health problems people experience when they go to space. So if they're thinking they're going to start, I was thinking about this. If they're starting to want to take civilians on long Mars voyages, aren't they going to have to wait till we come up with a better way to protect the body, against 0G, or find a way to make artificial gravity like they do, quote unquote, in the movies? So one of the study lead authors of the study said, I definitely think, astronauts complain of increased pressure in the head during these missions, as well as changes in their vision. And it's possible these brain changes may be contributing to odd symptoms. And the quote, I definitely think this has a hand in that. Donna Roberts, who's a radiologist at University of South Carolina, she thinks that I'm looking at some of the brain scans here, and it's very odd. It's not clear how it being shifted up may correlate to these health problems, or how long it will go. I mean, like, so they go up there and there's changes and they come back to Earth with gravity. Does it settle?
I would imagine so. Everything's pulling down on you.
It's really freaky to think about, isn't it? Isn't it really weird? I didn't think your brain had a lot of leeway inside the skull as far as moving around. They say they got to do more research on this. And, you know, I just said, NASA said they want to send astronauts to the moon and to Mars someday. I don't really know if I believe them about sending them to the moon. I just don't think they ever want to go back. Either they've got something up there they don't want us to know about, or they got scared off. So they're trying to figure out how to, I guess, compensate for this. Because the implications would be whether or not they could go to Mars.
Right.
With what we have now. And as we know, they don't have enough spacesuits. They'd have to go make some new spacesuits. So, now, they do know a lot already about the effects of zero-G on bones and muscles. So, that's why they're up there working out in space. Like, they're still trying to do treadmill. And
I work out.
Another change is called fluid shift. So, if you don't have gravity to pull down on your bodily fluids, they tend to shift upward toward the head. I guess they just, where else are they going to go? They can't go down. I mean, So one of the theories is that because there's no longer gravity pulling down the brain moves upward. Logical. So the shift affects the fluid inside the skull, known as cerebrospinal fluid. That buffers our brain from shocks. And in brain scans of these astronauts after they've come back, the scientists saw less fluid around the top of the brain and more in the brain's cavities known as the ventricles. Well, I didn't know we had ventricles. I thought those were just in the heart. They think the brain may be pushing the fluid away from the top of the skull, possibly. They don't know if these are calling cognitive changes. I don't know if they could see anything yet, but also they're thinking it pulls the optic nerves, which may be why they're having vision changes. And I don't understand what they mean by the vision changes. So not everybody's been tested for the vision changes. Only 3 long terms did that. They don't know what's going on. They know it's something, but they don't know what. So they got to do more study on it. They have to do more follow-up MRIs when they get back to Earth. And it's still unknown how the brain may react to reduced gravity environments such as Mars. So I'm guessing, does Mars have less than we do?
Yeah, Mars has less gravity.
So that's something to think about too. It's 1/3 our gravity, huh? So what's going to happen to the brain and everything else, you know? So, but they're not surprised by this, but they're also not worried because they said the human body is fairly resilient. The heart changes shape in space and becomes more spherical. And what's more amazing is it tolerates it really well. So does it make you wonder, are we somewhat kind of readily adapted for space? Or is it just some of our organs can handle it better than others? So,
well, the thing is that
it's weird.
For long durations of space, as it stands now, you could go up in space and be there indefinitely, but there would be a point where you could not return back to Earth because you're too adapted. Well, to zero G.
Your
body would adapt.
Parts,
Yeah, so you would not be able to handle
You see that too, don't you?
like a moth in here.
Flying.
Yeah, so don't freak out. You know,
It's a teeny little thing.
Sirlana has a special song that when she gets freaked out over
just
instinct,
stop
it's called
it.
Sandstorm.
Stop it. Nobody cares.
Anyway, so yeah, you wouldn't be able to return to Earth. I mean, you'd have to be up there quite some time.
Well, they said, you know, okay, they're thinking, how could they mitigate it? Like, okay, they said if the brains pull away, if the fluids pull away from brain, they have these vacuum devices that can pull on astronauts' legs while they're sleeping. I guess to keep, is that the circulation?
I guess, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That could potentially keep the fluid pressure off the brain, slowing its shift. So the question is this stuff for the brain a showstopper for space flight?
Because that was what I was going to ask. Is it considered dangerous? I mean,
they're saying no because the changes are mild and they don't think they're going to be able to develop countermeasures for it. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just weird. I never thought of this particular thing happening.
The brain thing?
The brain, yeah. Sure, the other stuff, that makes sense, but I'm intrigued by this. I'm gonna try to follow up and see if they, watch this kind of story and see if they come up with something. And
I mean, it is an interesting story. I mean, it's a new thing in technology, and of course, both of us are so fascinated with space and travel.
I don't want to go there, but I'd like to learn and know about it.
Yeah, live
to know how to keep from accidentally going there.
Vicariously through an astronaut.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wouldn't it be fun to talk to an actual astronaut?
Yeah, someday. We've come close.
Well, we're living in Houston. You think we could get access to them.
Yeah. So, anyway. Now,
I'm kind of all over the place with these topics. Now, if you'll notice, these topics do fit into our 6. I've got history, French science, gaming, music, pop culture, technology. And if you haven't heard one of them, you will in a minute or two. So now we're going to move into a little pop culture. I know we've only got so many minutes, but you'll have a lot to say about this, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney is planning a live-action Star Wars TV show for its streaming service. So.
Now, I've heard the rumor of a live action show for some time. I've never seen it transpire. The only thing that I've heard about and seen have been the CGI, not the CGI. Well, I guess it's kind of computer animated. Yeah. Rebels has been excellent.
It's animated.
It's animated, and it's really building up pretty cool because now there's been references to Rogue One in Rebels. Which has been really cool. It's been one of those things where I've watched it and I can say, hey, Solana, check this out, and I'm realizing you're not around me to share.
Well, I am over Star Wars. I'm sorry to tell you.
Why are you over Star Wars?
There's just nothing. Now, I did enjoy Rogue One. That was a nice peek behind the curtain, for some things. What they did with Rogue One, what they did with Star Trek Enterprise, in that Enterprise, if nothing else, if there's nothing else about that show that can redeem it, they provided an explanation why Klingons look like this in the original series, and now Klingons look like this in DS and TNG and onward. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about Discovery. Let's not even talk about it, please. Let's not even go there. So. Rogue One answered, why do you have such a weak, weird, flawed thing? How is it Luke just shoots into this hole and the whole thing blows up? That seems like a terrible security flaw. Mm-hmm. Well, we find out with Rogue One tells us why. So it took a terrible plot hole and explained it.
Right.
So I appreciated Rogue One for that. It was sad.
It took a plot hole like that, explained it, and killed off just about everybody in the movie.
Yeah. So it was sad, but it was still kind of good. Mm-hmm. I would have liked more of the droid, the tall, 6 foot tall droid.
Yeah.
I liked how he was sort of snarky and sarcastic and that type of thing.
Alan
Tudyk.
Yes. He's been in a lot of stuff that we've seen. Especially Firefly.
Well, anyway, this thing is the CEO of Disney said that Rian Johnson. I don't know if that's it's going to helm his own Star Wars trilogy, but it's going to create a live-action Star Wars television show for its upcoming online streaming service, but there's no details. But the CEO said that Disney's currently working on shows based on Monsters, Inc., High School Musical, all things I'm not going to watch, as well as new series from Marvel.
Somewhere in there is Incredibles, too. And
I don't want to have to pay extra to see any of this.
I'm looking for it. Okay.
I know you will be doing it.
You know, I've got lots to say about it, especially when it comes to Disney.
Well, let me just finish this. So Lucasfilm has used television to expand, as you said, the animated things, and you're enjoying those. So there is a rumor that a third animated show is also in the works for Star Wars universe.
I think that it takes place after the Return of the Jedi and then before Star Wars Awakens.
As we know, Disney's cutting ties with Netflix and taking all its stuff off of there, including the Marvel stuff it owns.
Yes.
And, of course, CBS has launched its own Star Trek Discovery. MGM is filming its own Stargate prequel show, Origins, which, sorry, I'm not interested. Disney's ongoing content makes sense considering it'll be fighting for attention in an already crowded field of streaming sources. And they're saying if Disney can pull this off, it'll accomplish something that has long eluded the franchise, a live action show like Star Trek has.
But wait, there's more.
So it's been in the development for years, actually.
The big mega thing that you haven't brought up yet is that Disney.
No, I'm going to.
What? Go ahead.
It's a separate thing.
I can. I'm already going to tell you that. Go ahead and take this all the way to the top of the hour because now I'm going to have my my fit.
Speaking of Disney, okay.
Okay.
As if they don't have enough in the dang world, they want to buy 21st Century Fox. Would you stop it? I swear. People can't hear me.
They can hear you.
Disney wants to buy 21st Century Fox. I know that's not technically a monopoly, but I just don't think it's a good idea. So but I don't think I think they're doing it because Fox is starting something. They're saying Fox wants to dump film and television completely, and FX and National Geographic. They want to focus on Fox Sports and Fox News and Fox Business. So Disney can't really legally own Fox because they already own ABC. Do you remember that? And it would probably run into antitrust issues with ESPN if they could convince 21st Century Fox to sell Fox Sports. Now, they haven't gotten very far with this. And you told me that the government or whoever said, well, if you want to buy Fox, you have to get rid of CNN. Because apparently they own that too, Disney.
No, I don't think it was Disney. It's I think it was AT&T or something.
No, you're right. AT&T wants to buy Comcast. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Disney would gain a lot out of the Fox acquisition. Comic fans would no doubt to see we can start merging X-Men, Fantastic Four. Would this mean Deadpool would go to
MC Universe? Yes, the MC Universe.
Because Fox owns Deadpool, right? Right?
MCU. Yeah, the MC Universe. Yeah.
Are you going to answer my question?
I had to think about it there, dear. I'm making sure I'm saying the right thing. Yes, Deadpool would be a part of that.
That
Fox
worries
deal.
Me because I'm worried they would try to PG-fy, make it all PG.
I don't think they would.
As I'm sitting here wearing a Deadpool jacket, but X-Men has been kind of fractured, hasn't it? From Fox
they kind of
X-Men,
semi rebooted it by doing it with James McAvoy as
no. Fox owns X-Men, right?
Yes, they do.
But it's part of the MCU.
It is. It's a Marvel product.
So if they take Fox, they can bring X-Men into the Marvel universe.
X-Men, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, they're all characters from the Marvel universe. In fact, You know,
But Sony owns
Wolverine has
Spider-Man.
been many times. He's helped out with the Avengers, according to the comics.
Yeah.
You know, and
So this would get them all together.
this would definitely get them all together into one roof. And plus, if they did that, talk about extending the MCU
Indefinitely.
that Marvel has been doing with Disney. Continue on. We finally get to see some good Fantastic Four, X-Men, and all that stuff.
You know, whatever.
With characters that you could see that have been on the MCU.
They have screwed up the Fantastic Four so hard. Anyway, guess how much money Disney made in the worldwide box office?
A lot, I imagine.
$7.2 billion with a B. So imagine if they get Fox, their film and TV, they get more of an edge. So it's not that Disney, what I'm understanding, Disney didn't go after Fox. Fox said, hey, we don't want this anymore. You want it? It would be an unstoppable media juggernaut. Imagine that.
Well, on that note, so that I can come back and tell my spin on this.
Okay, because I have more to say
yeah,
about it.
so I do have a lot to say. So
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
All right, so here it goes. First off, AT&T has no business buying Time Warner. They need to get their own service department in check before they even should consider going even bigger than their britches can handle. I think that AT&T has probably the worst customer service experience that you can imagine. Now, add that to Time Warner, and you would have Comcast. It's this fine line that we have to cross with all these things. But Time Warner, not the greatest service. AT&T is probably the worst customer service that I can imagine, and I'm testifying as a customer that there's performance.
Is it they want to buy Time Warner or Comcast?
They want to buy Time Warner, and that would make them the biggest.
So not Comcast.
No, it's not Comcast.
Okay, then I won't worry then.
But that's Time Warner today, Comcast tomorrow.
I need to blow my nose. Sorry.
So anyway, hold on just a second here. I've turned you down so you can do your thing over there. Now, what does the future lie with Disney? So, basically, you have Disney, who has gotten a taste of what Netflix can do. Yeah, so they know that, Netflix, let's face it, Netflix has owned it. They have been the trendsetter, and they've proven that this kind of thing is what people want. And the ability to watch on-demand stuff at their own convenience, and the age of 3 to 4 television networks where everybody had to gather around the TV is over. It does not exist anymore. So streaming is here, ladies and gentlemen. And so what does Disney do? Disney figures out, well, hey, we've got some money. We got Star Wars money. We've got Marvel money. And, just like you were saying, they've made billions. And all this money is just being funneled back into their money-making machine. And I can't knock it. It's kind of like they're being smart. They're parlaying all this money into making money fist over hand and hand over fist kind of thing. And so the next evolution would seem natural for Disney to get into the streaming business. I mean, Disney alone has such a big catalog of just different movies to watch. Now, Disney is more than just Disney. I believe Miramax is an extension of Disney. I'd had to definitely check that, but
they still exist anymore.
Miramax, I don't know. I believe so, but the movies, the categories out there, the categories. He distracted me with what you just said. Anyway, the catalog out there of the different companies that Disney owns is extensive. So they have a catalog now. You bring along the acquisition of Fox. They really want to acquire Fox's catalog. So that would just put them king of the hill as far as all the different things that you could get a hold of. Now here, it gets better. It's one thing.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, one thing is that you acquire the Marvel products, which that would be wonderful. But do you realize that Disney does not own all the Star Wars?
No.
It does not own the original Star Wars. So with the acquisition of Fox getting their hands on, or Disney getting their hands on Fox, they would acquire Star Wars, the original one. So that would put all that stuff under Disney again. And so, it put it all under Disney, under one roof. Right. So, that means that they could go back and take all the special editions that Lucas has done to the Star Wars franchise, which I don't have a problem. Hold on.
Could it be the only thing left will be Disney?
It's going to, right now they're a major entertainment conglomerate. And I keep joking with you. If you've ever seen epic rap battles, there's one where it's Jim Henson versus Stan Lee. And at the end, you have Walt Disney walk out and
says, "I own you both."
Yeah, I own you both, and that's pretty much Disney is the end all of all end alls of the entertainment business, and so it's just an inevitability that we're going to buy as much stuff as they can. Now, does it make them a monopoly? No, really, because you still have Universal out there. You still have Paramount. You have Sony. So technically, a monopoly would be that you owned, all the properties, and you stifle competition. I mean, granted, they could stifle competition in a way, but Disney's giving everybody what they want with these movies, these Marvel movies, with these Star Wars movies, and in the future we're going to have a new trilogy coming out of the Star Wars movies. I'm not talking about the Han Solo thing. I'm not talking about Ben Kenobi. We're talking about a new set of 3 movies based on the Star Wars franchise, like episodes 1, 2, and 3. It could take place before 1, 2, and 3, where it talks about the new or the old Republic. But I digress right now. But at the end of the day, that's where Disney is heading, and here is what we wanted, a la carte. So what we're getting is a la carte, Sirlana.
Yeah, and they're making us pay for it.
And we're having to pay for it.
Who knows?
It was kind of like the other thing with the Stargate. I was talking to you about how
I mentioned it.
It was like, but then I found out recently it's $20 and it's a one-time fee.
Well, for people like you, it's frustrating, and because this is how you get this is your major source of entertainment. For people like me, I'm like, go ahead. Make your 1,000 streaming online services subscription based. Give me my Kindle Unlimited, and I don't need any one of you.
Well, it's going back to what I was saying before with you, Sirlana.
As long as there's books.
Is that if you don't agree with the program, you don't have to buy it. And it makes it hard in the sense that, I watch a lot of this stuff as a part of the show, and so I can tell people about different things and cool stuff to watch. And I guess it goes back, okay, here's another disclosure. Back in the mid-'90s, I worked for Blockbuster. It was
you've mentioned that before.
Yes, I enjoyed working there. My best friend worked at Blockbuster. I never got to see him, so I thought, well, I'll go to work at Blockbuster, earn a check, hang out with my best friend, and get free movies. And so, even movie watching prior to, I used to love watching movies, like we were talking earlier, I skipped school to go see Aliens. So it's kind of in my blood to go and I'm a movie watcher. I love watching movies. And so, and while I think of what I'm going with this, so having all these different things on, it was the hardest decision for me to decide to do the CBS thing, Access. The only thing I've been watching on the CBS Access thing has been the Star Trek Discovery. It's all right. It's different, and, I've tried to keep an open mind about it. Will I continue to have the subscription after the show goes off? I don't know. Haven't decided whether I'm going to cancel it and then bring it back when it comes back on just so I can watch this particular show. That's how I feel about that. As far as the Stargate thing, when I found out it was a $20 fee, and then I kind of looked at that one where it was just one fee. You pay $20, and you get, SG-1, you get Atlantis, you get, Stargate Universe.
But I don't care
no
about
relation.
those.
Okay, I got your point. You got to talk about this. This is my reply. So I thought, well, for the price of buying a DVD or a Blu-ray, you get all that, encapsulated into one thing where you can watch it. Plus the new Stargate show that's coming out. I thought, well, that might be a good deal. I still haven't made the choice on that one yet, but one fee and it's done. Cool. But at the end of the day, I still enjoy Netflix. I still buy the majority of my movies on Amazon and watch my television programs on Amazon. I don't watch Hulu as much as I used to. But as far as Disney, I'll probably consider doing that because a lot of the Netflix programming, like The Punisher, Daredevil, The Defenders, and all that are going to go. Luke Cage, too. They're going to go to the Disney streaming service, and they're taking them off Netflix. Kind of miffed about that, but hey, it's the sign of the times. It's changing. It is what it is. And, okay, go ahead, Sirlana. Go ahead and say.
What? I'm just making sure you're done.
Hand it back to you while I choke to death over here.
So we're ready to move on from this topic here, I'm assuming. Okay, I'm just going to assume that's a yes. Anyway, so you know what, people? It's time to stop making fun of the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Why?
It was a fearsome creature. It weighed about 6 tons. It had the power to tear off 500 pounds using its massive jaw. Yet, what's with the ridiculous arms? Come on, get real. But now they're going back and saying, hey, those little arms are just as vicious as anything else. Now, they're saying those arms were used to slash prey once they got in close proximity to their, wherever the prey was. The arms were 3 feet long. They had these crescent-shaped talons that can inflict mortal wounds to prey. And the short arm length was actually more beneficial for slashing, considering the size of, the big head on that T-Rex, right? So, quote, this paleontologist who's been studying it, Stephen Stanley from the University of Hawaii, he says, in short, strong forelimbs and large claws would have permitted the T-Rex, whether mounted on a victim's back or grasping with its jaws, to inflict 4 gashes a meter long or more and several centimeters deep within a few seconds. And it could have repeated that multiple times in rapid succession. So those little things were deadly. It's believed that, when you look at a T-Rex, and I've always thought this, you look at those little silly arms, you're thinking, oh, well, this is a creature that's in the middle of evolving into a bird, right? Because you can see maybe those front arms are starting to shrivel up to become wings. But they're saying that the arms are probably deliberate and useful. So, it's got an unusual quasi ball and socket joint. So they have plenty of mobility. They packed a punch, comparing with the legs of a 6-foot man in terms of length and width. So it was a formidable weapon. So, but they said, there's always, scientists love to argue with each other. So different doctor says, oh, these arms are more likely used for mating than attacking prey. But another says, it seems illogical to me to use such small arms to slash with. So I love it when nerds fight like this. It's so much fun. So another guy agrees that the arms could be a dangerous tool. The length and position of these limbs would allow the T-Rex to basically have to push its chest up against the side of the victim to get its arms, in there to slash. Either way, it's a new way of looking at a T-Rex, which we've known about forever, as being even more deadly and efficient predator. So, stop making fun of his little arms. I just wanted to, stay up in the defense of poor little T-Rex.
Poor little T-Rex.
Do you remember, what was that show, Meet the Robinsons?
Mm-hmm.
That
I love that.
Had that
I
T-Rex.
have a big head and small hands.
He tried to get Will Robinson or whatever his name was, and the boy was in the corner, and because of his head and his size, he couldn't reach him with his little arms. It's so cute. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. So,
okay, a little T-Rex.
Are you ready
to rumble
for your flying car?
I've been ready. Even Benjamin Sisko was ready.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Avery
we were
Brooks.
promised flying cars. Where are my flying cars? Avery Brooks. Guess who's partnered with NASA for flying cars?
Musk.
Uber. Uber's headed to the skies. They just announced they're going to partner with NASA to try to devise a plan to work together on making low-altitude flying vehicles that you can use to get around a city like Los Angeles. I'm wasting on them, but So there's a concept video out there on YouTube if you look for it. It's going to be called Uber Air, how it might work.
Mm-hmm.
So in the video, they say, hey, let's say you're headed to Uber Vertiport on top of a building. You board your aircraft where you want to go before landing at another port. It says it's more viable than things like roads, rail, bridges, and tunnels. So they've been focused on, ground-based transportation, using somebody else's car to get you there. They said this is the natural step, is the next, how are we going to take it to the next level? I guess they said, well, get in the air. They explain, okay, flying cars are going to be faster and better for the environment. The price may not be as high as you think. The Uber service will cost the same as Uber X, which I don't really know what Uber. I've never taken an Uber in my life. I think the first time I ever took a cab was when you and I ran off to get married in Vegas. It's like if I can't get there on my own or with a friend, I don't go. So Uber's vehicles are going to be electrical, vertical, takeoff and landing vehicles, or EVTOLs. They're going to change fundamentally how cities function and how we live in them. So, of course, don't expect to be flying around anytime soon. And that's what cheeses me off. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. We're going to get you flyers. It's happening. And it never does. They're saying it's very much in the early stages. I'm like, well, yeah. I'm just like, whatever. We've been disappointed before. So they're saying this on-demand aviation has the potential to radically improve urban mobility, give back lost time in daily commutes, and that would be great. But that just means that the sky is going to be cluttered up. I know this is low altitude, but still, I mean, you'll have a bunch of these competing, and then what about where do helicopters fly? And
well, helicopters will probably fly higher. They'll have a higher altitude that they can fly. It reminds me of Back to the Future too, when the flying cars are going down and driving.
You reckon they would fly just higher than whatever the tallest structure is in the city, or?
I'm guessing probably another 30 or 40 feet above regular traffic.
So some of the first cities that will probably be like among the test if they do it, and I'm just highly skeptical. Los Angeles, Dallas, and Dubai. Why gotta be Dallas? There ain't nowhere to go in Dallas. So Uber will install 20 of its skyports around these cities, including Los Angeles International Airport, Santa Monica, and Sherman Oaks. LA is going to be open in 2020. Mm-hmm. Write that down, people. For what it's worth, Blade Runner predicted that we would have flying cars in 2019. I guess that was the first Blade Runner movie. So I'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, whatever.
Well, it's an inevitability. It's coming down the pipe, and I mean, I think the government recently cleared for drone delivery.
What was that? What happened with the drone thing?
I think it's coming. They
had to get permission.
They're testing it in select markets right now. Drone delivery, or beta testing it, and but they got their clearance from the FAA, and so. Amazon is testing it right now.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to go for it, and then we didn't hear anything about it.
I think the ultimate goal for Amazon is delivery within an hour.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, so
we can sort of do that now, but it's limited.
It's Amazon limited. Now. Is it called? Yeah, it's Amazon Prime Now.
Amazon Prime Now, but it's limited in the actual products you can choose to get.
Yeah, because it's kind of a separate site based upon.
Because it has to be what's in the warehouse nearest you, I suppose. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I didn't tell you this, but I tested it out at work, where I ordered some parts at work and had it delivered within an hour.
It worked?
It worked perfect.
Cool.
Everybody kidded around with me because when they deliver it, it's in a brown paper bag. And so, it was kind of funny, and the hijinks that came out of that. But,
is that a computer part or a 40?
Yeah, exactly. The ability to not have to step into a Walmart is nice. And
well, I decided to have a few fun headlines in here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever expressed my love for this website, mirror.co.uk, and their weird news section. Love it, love it, love it. So this comes from the Mirror's Weird News.
Mm-hmm.
Check this out. Police raid a man's home after Amazon Alexa blasted music and held its own party at 2 a.m.
Was anybody home at the time, or?
Well, check this out.
That's a good question, right?
Yeah, check this out. So, angry neighbors called the police after they were awakened by a noise coming from Oliver Haberstroh's flat. This was in Germany, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, apologize for butchering the name. The flat was empty. The 29-year-old owner was out with friends for the night. Now, he says the music turned on even though he didn't give it any instructions. He wasn't there. Nobody was there, because this is a voice-activated virtual assistant device, Amazon Alexa. You say, like, hey, Alexa, blah, blah, blah. Oliver had suspected maybe the smart gadget acted on its own, but later the Amazon said that it was remotely activated by a music streaming app on his smartphone, and he wasn't there. So the police arrived at his apartment, his flat, and I'm going to say this is Pinneberg, Germany, Germany, shortly before 2 a.m. on a Saturday, and they banged on the door. They got no response, but they could hear the music blaring from inside. So the cops went and got a locksmith to break in. They go in, nobody there. Music going off. So when the owner came home, Oliver, he was just as surprised as they were, and he found out why the police were called. He wrote to Amazon on Facebook saying he'd been out at a bar with friends when the music came on. I was perfectly happy with your service and Alexa. However, the relationship between Alexa and me has taken a turn. One could say it's so complicated that we unfortunately have to go our separate ways. He said Alexa independently, without command, and without me using a mobile phone, turned on music at full volume and had her own party without me in the apartment. She opted to have it at a very inconvenient time between 1:50 and 3 a.m. My neighbors alerted the police, who in turn opened the apartment and turned Alexa off. Officers got the lock replaced, but they charged the owner with a bill. And he had to go to the police department to get the new keys to his own flat. So he was left in a state of befuddlement. He didn't think the device was activated by any outside noise or someone else's smartphone or something, in the environment. So he asked, how could Alexa and he stay together where she could pay me the cost for the lock? And he apparently asked Alexa, goes, unfortunately, I have not found an answer to your question. So he's going to give up Alexa. So a police spokesperson said, while they investigated the source of disturbance, the officers found a black jukebox. I don't know what this means, but Amazon came back and said, working directly with Oliver, they identified the reason for the incident. Echo was remotely activated and the volume increased through the customer's third-party mobile music streaming app. Although Alexa cloud service worked flawlessly, Amazon has offered the customer to cover the cost of the locksmith. I thought that was really nice of Alexa to, Amazon to stand up. I can
imagine, since it was kind of a rare situation, and it shows where it broke down so that they can make it better.
They can backwards trace where they...
Yeah, but, it gives them, okay, here's where it failed. So it's kind of like a interesting thing about that is that Xbox players... has voice commands. So, like, for example, there was these guys that were playing some war game, some kind of shooting, first person shooter, right? And in the game, when you're playing, if you say, I guess Xbox or not Xbox, if you say the word Explorer, it takes you out of the game and it goes into Internet Explorer within the game. So the guy had named himself Explorer. And yeah, so whenever they'd say his name, Explorer, it would knock them out of the game, and so he would
open up the web browser.
While the guy that was in the game could go ahead and kill that person in the game. So, fine example of using these voice commands and into using technology against itself. Now, here's something else I haven't tried, and I know we're about to hit at the bottom of the hour real quick. Right. Is we have the ability to use our phones to change the YouTube thing on our TVs.
Yes.
And one thing I've never tried
through
is...
Wi-Fi.
Through Wi-Fi. I wonder if we could do that from a work or something, if as long as we're on a Wi-Fi, to be able to change or start up YouTube here at home.
No, I don't think so.
Do you know for a fact?
Because it has to do with the Wi-Fi. If I'm at work and connected to work's Wi-Fi, it's not
going to... If I'm connected to an Xfinity connection.
Well, it would be, that's different, I suppose.
That's what I'm getting at. So that's what I'm thinking.
Test it out. Of course, you'd have to leave a camera here on to record
it, or some event where we turn it on. And anyway, it's the bottom of the hour, people, and so let's take the last break of the evening, and let's see. We got it all lined up. I like it when I'm lined up. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe on the PAUK Radio Network. All right, we're back, and as always, we always get a call from our one of our longtime listeners, and that would be Bev. How are you tonight, Bev?
Well, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm spamtastic.
Well, cool.
So, did you get my tweet? I guess, what was it? Was it yesterday or today? How's the weather up there?
Well, it's cold.
How cold is it?
It's in the 30s.
Woo.
Oh, wow.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a heck of a storm here. It's Monday. Took a great big 60-foot pine out in our backyard. And then it took a dead pine out in our side yard and slammed up against the house.
Oh, yeah. I think I recall Bob posting something like that about that.
Yeah.
Was that, were you in the house at the time?
Yeah. What I said, dear. Yep, we were. They're trying to say it wasn't a tornado, but good grief. Did you see the pictures posted on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm recalling some of those pictures.
Man, I couldn't get over the size of that root ball on that 60-foot pine. Woo! That baby was huge.
But did you get any? Did your house get damaged anyway?
Not really bad, thank God. But boy, when that dead pine hit the side of the house, man, I thought we had an earthquake. It shook the house. Like, holy crap!
Or maybe it was Bob eating chili again, huh?
Oh, God. But, yeah, I just wanted to tell you that I totally agree with you about the veterans.
You know,
I do.
I hate getting off on the deep end, and but you know, it's just I see, and Solana will tell you this. I'm the kind of person that I want to bring justice where there's no justice.
Right.
And it really frustrates me as an American living in the time that we're living in. You can't trust the Democrats. You can't trust the Republicans.
You can't trust any politician.
Exactly. I mean, whether it be R or D, you know, it's just, you know, and here's a fine example. Democrats were in office. They had a chance to do whatever they wanted to do. Did they do it? Well, I mean, sure, they passed some things, but I mean, they could have done a lot more, and they didn't.
Oh, yeah.
The Republicans, they're in control now. They've been complaining, well, if we were only in office, we could do X, Y, Z. Well, you're finally in office. Let's see you do something. And what do?
Get it done.
Nothing. They just keep that stick up their butt, and they just refuse to do anything. And it gets my goat, you know. And it just frustrates the heck out of me. And one of the major things is that is the vets. I mean, I feel very passionate about that in the sense that, you know, you enlist, you go into the heart of danger with some of these, vets have gone, and they deserve, a king's ransom when they come back. We should take care of them, and it's overwhelming for me to see veterans that are homeless or veterans that are in need of mental health care or even medical health care, and we just treat veterans just very poorly compared to the people out in Hollywood, who these kids worship. It's frustrating. So,
and they don't have a clue.
Very clueless. So
yeah.
Thanks.
And I'm so passionate about it because both of my grandfathers served in World War I. Our family had my dad's brother, our Uncle Junior, he died in Iwo Jima in 2. My dad served in 2. He was a merchant marine, my dad was, and it was just, I think, a couple of years before my dad died that they finally recognized them as soldiers. Because, they were on boats with guns. They saw battle, too.
Right.
And Bob's dad and another one of my uncles served in Korea. So, it's they don't get treated right.
Right. I agree with you. You're not going to get no backing down from me on this story, Bev. It's just I just think it's shameful the way. But there's a lot of still good out there. I mean, I was watching this Facebook post recently where an older Marine he had a flag out in the front, and it was kind of old. And so the police department told about the nearby Marine base, and they came out and brought him a flag and put it up, and it was just nice that Marines helping Marines out, and and then the hooah, and so it's stories like that. And then of course I was watching a thing about Audie Murphy, and when he originally wanted to enlist, he was too young. He had to wait 2 years before he turned, he turned 17 when he finally enlisted. And
Who
he was
that?
Audie Murphy.
I don't know him.
Oh, my goodness. Very interesting person if you haven't heard about him. I don't want to go into too many details right now, but just know that he was 5'0" and eventually got to serve and awarded, many medals and a great American and a patriot for the country. So at the end of the day, there's just so many good stories out there. But I don't want to cast that because there's still the inequities of the vets that Congress should be ashamed of themselves for treating them the way they do. And so anyway. Here, let me toss this in real quick, Bev.
Sure.
There we go. Got my goat mix in. So.
Gotta love the goat.
Yep, it's my goat, and I'm sticking to it.
I know Michelle's cat, Princess. It scares her. When Elliot heard it earlier, our big Tom, his head went up like, what was that? Oh, God, he's a big fat boy. He weighs about 25, 30 pounds.
We're talking about the cat, right?
Yeah.
That's bigger than a turkey.
I know, he's bigger than Dino, our little dog.
Our
little Dachshund.
I was like, how do you know how big Dino is?
Oh, God, I keep forgetting. Oh, God. Yeah, he's... Our Dino only weighs probably about 10 pounds, 15, 12 pounds if he's lucky.
Oh, no. Better get Dino a burrito or something,
Yeah. Oh, he gets treats all the time when he goes outside and comes back in. That's how we house-trained him. But, so how was your week doing?
I was a busy beaver this week, and at work, trying to keep the universe afloat. It's definitely takes a full-time job. But yeah, so it's it's kind of like, did you ever see that commercial? I do drugs so I can work longer, so I can make more money, and so I can do drugs, and it's this vicious cycle. I go to work so I can work long and make money, and so I can pay to do the universe, and so I could go back to work and work long.
It's a vicious circle.
It is, but I always look forward to the universe part. If I could just make the universe part longer of my week, then that would be awesome.
God, I haven't worked in 9 years. Bob hasn't worked in 7. We wish we could work. Oh, God, our days run together. You always know what day of the week it is when you're working.
You spend a lot of quality time together, don't y'all?
Sometimes too much.
I hear you.
I love you, honey.
What is it with husbands? They just always want to spend time with you. You're like, ugh.
You know, when you called yesterday, when you were, or I guess at Dallas or whatever, I forgot what part you were on. Yeah. I was like, I'm watching a movie. Okay, I'll let you go.
I wasn't watching a movie.
I was watching a movie.
I didn't call you.
You called me, or you were you were texting me.
I texted you. It's less intrusive. I'm like, okay, good. That's fine. You're occupied. I didn't care. It didn't bother me.
Bob's when it's so funny when Bob is on the computer doing something and I'll be asking him a question. He's like, just a minute. Like, it's hard for him to talk and do something on the computer at the same time. And then, like, if I'm typing and he'll ask me a question and I hold my finger up, he's like, I said, well, I can, if I start talking, I'm going to type what I'm talking.
Oh, that could be dangerous.
So, yeah. Could be, yeah. Because sometimes you don't want me to type what I'm saying to him. No. Oh, gosh. But, yeah, I mean, it does. We do okay together, but...
Wait, hold on, Bev. Hold on. Y'all been together how long?
It'll be 31 years next month on the 5th. A long time.
Well, and I thought, we've been together 11 years now?
Yeah, it feels like a lot more.
It does.
It does.
Well, technically it has been, hadn't it? Because marriage is like an official... Dino's calling.
Well, Bev, I hate to cut you off. We have Dino.
Okay.
Cool. We're gonna ask him what kind of treats you feed him.
Okay, you do that.
All right. So we love you, Bev, and good night, Bob.
Well, we love you too, guys.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
You guys all have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, cut her off. Sorry, Bev.
Wow.
You there, Dino?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Dino, what kind of treats does Bev give you?
I'm nobody's dog.
Wasn't implying that, but she brought it up that she gives Dino treats. I guess she has a little pet named Dino, and it cracks us up. But anyway, enough of the kidding around. Dino, how are you, my friend?
Oh, pretty good. But I just wanted to say that I do get treats every so often. I did a couple of years ago make friends on Facebook, and she always has some nice things to post. It's going along. We're getting closer to winter, which isn't always fun because I'm working hard, maintaining the old rancho here.
Mm-hmm.
Still have things to do. I was building a front gate with a friend, but he had to go away, so I have a half-built front gate. But what's on my mind tonight is what's been on my mind the last couple of months. We have been inundated in this country and the planet, indeed, with one issue after another. If it's not a mass shooting, it's people arguing because one person wants to have a right to have a gun and one doesn't, or it's this type of really over-the-top harassment and power. It's really power. I don't think it's just about sex. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have a healthy sex drive. But when you know that you have power as a boss or financially over someone, and you use that to beat them over the head. I mean, come on, if someone's not attracted to you, they're not attracted to you. Find someone who is. And then every couple of weeks now, it's like, it almost seems like it is a conspiracy that we're being bombarded with this issue and that issue, and we can't even stick to issues that we can, as a group of citizens, still do something about. Whether it's voting, or if you don't believe in voting, then taking direct action. I sign petitions every week. The beauty of the internet is that people can tell you about their issue, whether it's the pipeline or the way the judicial system is not working, or whether police are doing their job properly or not. And you can sign petitions. And but But what really has bothered me with all the recent violence and then sensationalism about sexual misconduct, and I'm not saying it's right, but when you look at what's really going on behind the scenes, I almost feel like we are being scattered in our energies so that the real powers that make our lives more miserable than we make each other's lives are manipulating us more and more. I've been feeling that this year. It's been a rough year.
I agree with you. I mean, it's hard to watch television. I mean, you have to weigh everything with a grain of salt out there when it comes to the mainstream media, and because we've been, I guess, over the past several years, we've been starting to understand that they're not all telling us the truth. They're bending it to an agenda that's, it's out there. I mean, as you understand, and many of our space cadets, we are aware of a lot of things that are not true, and we're enlightened enough to look at these things. It's terrible to see the shootings recently in this church in Texas that it happened, and you get the things going on with the sexual misconduct of different people that are going on that's in the news.
What people probably didn't hear about was the guy who heard the shooting in that church and went to see what was going on, chased the suspect down in their car together, and the police don't know if this guy who chased him shot him or if the guy committed suicide. But they also found out the guy who did the shooting, his ex-in-laws attended that church, so it might not have been a random thing.
And then, and not to mention, let me throw the thing that you had the truck that killed many people up in New York recently, and that's being labeled as a terrorist attack. It's the world we live in. It's terrible. I get very frustrated, especially listening to these things about the like Charlie Sheen recently and Corey Haim. I guess, is it Haim or
no? Haim passed away.
Yeah, but no, it was Haim that apparently they had some kind
both of them.
Yeah. So Feldman. I know.
Feldman's the one that's pushing.
But anyway, long story short is that you're absolutely right, Dino. It's overwhelming what's out there right now.
Well, it's one right after another is the other. That's the point I'm making, is that all these things taken by themselves are horrible, but why are they all happening in rapid succession?
It's kind of suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fires up in Northern California, and people look at you like you're crazy to say, I think there's something more to it. Oh, no, it's not. It's just, the PG&E power company wasn't maintaining the lines, and there was high winds. Well, there are high winds around this time every year, and we have had massive fires, but in such spread out area, miles and miles apart. And then you hear, have you guys heard, there's one guy supposedly they arrested that they think there were witnesses that, he was lighting one of those fires.
Mm-hmm. I did hear that.
But then, I hate to be this way, but, the last few years, it started with UFOs and aliens and secret space programs, but it makes you wonder. I mean, I don't know if the lizards are manipulating the world, or the 1% of the 1%, but I know that it's happening in rapid succession so that people are scattered so you can't get one voice. Yeah, women are going to make the sexual harassment thing a big thing, and I don't want to belittle this because it's horrible. I wouldn't have wanted my mother or a girlfriend or a wife or anybody harassed by people, and yet they have been, and yet some of these incidents are something that nowadays, they're not good things, but compared to what's going on over all of us, it's a distraction, I mean, yes, we have to work on several things, but people are burned out, and then what do they want to do? Look at their smartphone and play Tetris or whatever the current game is. And that worries me. When I talk to people, my friend Gail always says she's a double Virgo, and she constantly is screaming on her Facebook page, or anybody that'll listen, She goes, everybody looks at me like I'm crazy when I go, this might be because of this. This fire might have started because of this. Chemtrails are real. And people act like, no, they're not. Like they know everything. And she said intelligent people, because they're set in their ways, will not take the time to use that intelligence to start doing a little research, going through the facts. Because some of them are burned out or they're just lazy. They won't look at, oh, no, that's baloney. That's a conspiracy, so I'm not going to even consider it. And that's what keeps us separated. And, you know, whether it's the race issue, that's been going on for years. And yet I go to work and work with about 5 different types of groups of people. And we get along fine at work, and I'm pretty well liked at work, you know. And then you go outside, or if you start talking to them about an issue or something, then it polarizes people again. They don't look at what's in front of them. Hey, we're getting along, you know.
True words. I don't disagree with you in everything you're saying. And then, you know, okay, let me throw this at you, Dino, while we still have a few more minutes to go here, is that what worries me the most, you know, because we have one thing after another, to me is a distraction. Do you understand where I'm getting at, where I'm going with this? Is that you have all these things, you know, what is the left hand doing? We all know what's in front of us, what's going on in the right hand, but what's going on with the left hand? You know, going back to the Vegas shooting thing, there's questioning of, was he alone? Was he not alone? Why did his brother end up being charged with the porn thing? You know, we see things that go down in so many different cases where it's a distraction, or people or witnesses are disappearing or found dead, you know, shortly after the fact. And, it just leaves questioning. And, you know, people wonder why conspiracy theorists go out there on a limb and say, well, what about this? What about this? Oh, it's nothing. You can't just leave a mystery there, because we're just, as humans, want to know the answer to the questions that are presented out there. And I constantly think that there's something more than, you know, I'm supposed to look at the right hand while the magician's doing his trick, but in the left hand he's got the answers. And I feel like this is all a distraction from what is really going on. Now, what's really going on, that's the ultimate question, and that's what I want to know. I don't know the answer, but I surely want to know. I know that what I'm looking at is not what's supposed to be looked at. I should be focused on what's going on the other way.
You know, it's almost like we should be ranking these things. Now, some of them may be fake to set us off the track and divide us. But it's something real, yeah, sexual harassment's real in Hollywood and elsewhere. But maybe we need to rank them. And I would then, if we do that, I would put my priority on something like what David Adair is going around doing. And yes, I encourage everybody to go to americasfallfromspace.com. Very simple one-page address. And I've sent the letters to my congresspeople, and I've even called their offices. You got to try not to sound loony. Just say David Adair is the spokesperson. If an electromagnetic pulse comes from the sun and hits us just right, then it's like the movie The Road. It's going to be horrible suffering, pain, and death. Nuclear weapons and Korea and all that. Those are top priority things that we ought to be working on first and then go down, because I'm telling you, if this power grid goes down anywhere in the world, especially in the first world, then we're all screwed, so to speak. You know, and none of these other things will matter anymore.
Right you are, sir. Right you are. Well, Dino, we've hit the brick wall. We appreciate you calling tonight.
If I pay you money, can I stay on another half hour? No, I'm just kidding. All right, it was nice hearing you guys. Good night to all the cadets.
Good night, Dino. All right, Sir Lana. Well, there you go. Another fine example of what the SBU is all about. A show about nothing. Huh? No, just kidding. You know, hey, we're here to entertain the masses, but other than that, the only thing I have to tell you, Sir Lana, is say good night.
Good night.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Sir Lana. Executive producer is Sir Lana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.